Hey, Slug, can you pass me? Is there an eyeglass clinic? Can you pass me the eyeglass clinic? No, that's right. Yep, there you go. Look, yeah, just stay up here.
Oh, go to sad. You know, I need to be like, I'm missing that for life. This is that for life.
Con, you could have her head come down with you.
I'm gonna take one of my scarves.
Yeah, all right. You go class for you, my nigga.
So like if you don't have one, I mean,
Yeah, she said she has extra. She's wearing multiple on her head. Yeah. No, yeah.
Forgive me for the time that I did in Thanksgiving. I don't respect your trying to pick up with a blind friend. They said everybody making up planning for my time share. That was a good friend. They want you like very bad. But they gon' get it out the brain that you want. You take that no fish and nothing. Try to deal death to a priest. You gon' make it out in one piece. So you can stand. Make sure you got the heart. Say it ain't 3 times.
can I steal some of this blood?
Yeah, get down.
I should roll now. Give me your own people on this show. And my Lord said they hate you for my days. Keep it on. Ain't no more kiss. Ain't no more pressure. Make sure it's my election till I'm tucked away like Joe. Get the But if I bring you to my bed, that's a so how you feel like you shoot like a show? Take it like you think I should roll. Even your own people on this show. And the Lord said they hate you for my name. So you gotta keep it low.
Give us a second, Israel. We almost there.
I have to switch up my
It ain't about what sports you got, it's about the
dates.
You let him know he cut it off with fun.
Yeah, but I have to pay $100. Switch it. When I had plans to go, she had already had something planned. They ended up.
All right, Shalom Israel. We will start in 1 minute. Give me 1 second.
She went. Oh, yeah.
hold for me. Before you can come up, give me Hebrews 13 and 16.
13, 16?
Yeah, and just hold that. I'll call it when I need it. All right, Shalom, Israel. Shalom, Israel. I'm Priest Officer Parak holding down the Sabbath service for today. All right. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah Barakatham to the brothers, Yahweh Shamar Latham Bashem Yahweh Shah to the sisters. Of course, in the UPK, we hold down this Sabbath service every single week as prescribed in the Bible. You can find this in the book of Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. All right, this is a high holy day to the Most High God, right? And this is a day that we, of course, we abstain from working and we come together and have a holy convocation, right? And that's exactly what this is here today. If you could give me, you holding that for me? So today what we'll be talking about is sacrifices, right? What are you willing to sacrifice for the Most High, right? You go all throughout the Bible, specifically, we'll be in Genesis, the 22nd chapter today. You go all throughout the Bible and you see these great men and these great women willing to sacrifice for the Most High God, right? Willing to put everything that they got to the side, right? Give me Hebrews 13 and 16.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 16. But to do good and to communicate, forget not. Mm-hmm. For with such sacrifices, God is well pleased.
Listen, you have to do good. That's what you have to do. You have to do well. That's what this life is about. Like the book in Ecclesiastes, it says, what's the meaning of life? That's it. What's the meaning of life?
To serve the Lord.
Right. To keep the commandments and serve the Most High God. To fear God and keep the commandments is the exact phrase, right? That's what life is about. You get what I'm saying? So to do good, that's what you must do, right? And you have to sacrifice for the Most High God. So we're going to get into it. We're going to go ahead and we'll get started with the Sabbath service, all right? I'm going to call the first brother up. You come up, partner.
Kabadamath ban Yahweh ban Yasharala.
Kabadamath ban Yahweh ban Yasharala.
Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Barakatasa.
Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Barakatasa. Before you hit it.
Yasharala.
Which means to Israel. All right. We're going to get into these prayers, all right? So everybody else, I imagine, which means to stand. Panyah Gwadam, which means to face the east. Sisters' heads covered, brothers' heads uncovered. All right, beginning with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayah, Kodash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malak with Ka, Thaba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashemayah, Nathalanawa, Lakam, Call your one, Wasalaganawa, Kawawatnawa, Kasalagnawa, Kawawathinawa, Wala'ah, Thabayanawa, Banasaya one, Abal, Hawashai now, Mayan, Rakaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wathapara, La'iwalamyam, Aman. In the English, the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth. As it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not to temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it. The power in the Hebrew. Yahweh. Bashem Yahushai. Baba Kusha,
Baba Kusha,
the Thunder Now,
the Thunder Now,
Haka,
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 La
the
Rapa'a,
Rapa'a,
Call Maka'ala,
Call Maka'ala,
Wakal Madawa,
Wakal Madawa,
Haka,
Haka,
Latahar,
Latahar,
Hamatazariah,
Hamatazariah,
Haka,
Haka,
Lakwayam,
Lakwayam,
Hamathium,
Hamathium,
Haka,
Haka,
Al Rakawa,
Al-Rakawa,
Hatama'ala,
Hatama'ala,
Lagarshan,
Lagarshan,
Basham Yahushai,
Bashim Yoshai,
the Wadaman.
the Wadaman.
In the English, the power. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahweh
in
Shai,
the name of Yahweh Shai,
please give us the power.
please give us the power
To heal all manner of sickness,
to heal all manner of sickness,
and all manner of disease,
and all manner of disease,
the power to cleanse the leper,
the power to cleanse the leper,
the power to raise the
the
dead,
power to raise the dead,
the power against unclean
the
spirits,
power against unclean spirits,
to cast them out.
to cast them out.
In the name of Yahweh
In
Shai,
the name of Yahweh Shai,
thank you, so be it.
thank you, so be it.
All right, Psalms the 121st chapter in the Hebrew. Asha'ah,
Asha'a,
Ayanya,
Ayanya,
Ahaharya,
Ahaharya,
Ma'yan,
Ma'yan,
Yaba'a,
Yaba'a,
Isarya,
Isarya,
Ma'aim,
Ma'aim,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Aisha,
Aisha,
Shamayam,
Shamayam,
Wa'arataza,
Ba'arataza,
Al Yathan,
Al Yathan,
Lamawat,
Lamawat,
Regalka,
Regalka,
Al Yanawam,
Al Yanawam,
Shamarka,
Shamarka,
Hana,
Hana,
La'a,
La'a,
Yanawam,
Yanawam,
Wala'a,
Wala'a,
Yayashan,
Yayashan,
Shawamar,
Shawamar,
Yasha'ala,
Yasha'ala,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Shamarka,
Shamarka,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Tazalka,
Tazalka,
Al Yad,
Al Yad,
Yamyaka,
Yamyaka,
Yawamam,
Yawamam,
Hashamash,
Hashamash,
La'a,
La'a,
Yakaka,
Yakaka,
Wayarak,
Wayarak,
Balayala,
Bayayala,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yashamarka,
Yashamarka,
Makal Rai,
Makal Rai,
Yashamar,
Yashamar,
Adnapashka,
Abdapaska,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Yashamar,
Yashamar,
Taza'athka,
Taza'athka,
Wabak,
Wabak,
Wa'aka,
Wa'aka,
Ma'aitha,
Ma'aitha,
Wa'ai,
Ma'ai,
Iwalam.
Awilam.
Psalms the 121st chapter in the English. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills.
I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills.
From whence cometh my help?
From whence cometh my help?
My help cometh from Yahweh,
My help cometh from Yahweh,
which made heaven and earth.
which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee will not slumber.
He that keepeth thee will not slumber.
Behold,
Behold,
he that keepeth Yasha'Allah
he that keepeth Yasha'Allah
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil.
Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
and thy coming in
and thy coming in
from this time forth
from this time forth
and even forevermore.
and even forevermore.
Psalms the 83rd chapter in the Hebrew. Alahayo,
Allahayim,
Aldama Yalaka,
Aldama Yalaka,
Al Thakarash,
Al Dakarash,
Wa Al Tashakwat,
Al Kashakwat,
Al
Al
Kayahna,
Kaya Hana,
Awa Yabika,
Our Yabyaka,
Yahamaya 1,
Yahamaya 1,
Ra'ash,
Ra'ash,
Al Aimaka,
Al Aimuka,
Ya'ara Yamwa,
Ya'ara Yamwa,
Sawada,
Sawada,
Wayatha,
Wayatha,
Ya'aitazawa,
Ya'aitazawa,
Al Tazapa Wanyaka,
Al Tazapa Wenyaka,
Amarwa,
Amarwa,
Lakawa,
Lakawa,
Wanakakidam,
Wanakakidam,
Magalia,
Magalia,
Wala'a,
Wala'a,
Yazakar,
Yazakar,
Sham Yasha Allah,
Sham Yasha Allah,
Iwada,
Iwada,
Kaya,
Kaya,
Nawaitazawa,
Nawaitazawa,
Laba,
Laba,
Yakadwa,
Yakadwa,
Alyaka,
Ayaka,
Barya,
Varya,
Yakar,
Yakar,
Athwa,
Athwa,
Ahawya,
Ahalya,
Adawam,
Adawam,
Wayashamai Alayam,
Wayasama Aliyah,
Mawa Abba,
Wawa,
Wahagarya,
Wahagarya,
Gabal,
Gabal,
Wa'ima 1,
Wa'ima 1,
Wa'ima Lot,
Wa'ima Lot,
Palasha,
Palasha,
I'm Yeshabya,
I'm Yeshabya,
Tazawar,
Tazawar,
Gam Ashawar,
Ram Kamashawar,
Nalawa,
Nalawa,
Imam,
Imam,
Hayawa,
Hayawa,
Zarwai,
Zarwai,
Labanya Lawat,
Labanya Lawat,
Salah,
Salah,
Ashala Hum,
Ashalaham,
Kamadyan,
Kamadya,
Kasaya,
Kasaya,
Sara'a,
Sara'ah,
Kayabyan,
Kayabyan,
Banakal,
Banakal,
Kwayashwan,
Kwayaswan,
Nashamadwa,
Nasamadwa,
Bayan,
Bayan,
Da'ara,
Dara,
Hayawa,
Hayawa,
Daman,
Daman,
La'adama,
La Adama,
Shayathamwa,
Shayatamwa,
Nada,
Nada,
Yabmawa,
Yabmawa,
Kaira,
Kaira,
Wakaza Abba,
Wakaza Abba,
Wakaza Bak,
Wakaza Ba,
Wakatazal,
Wakatazal,
Mana'ai,
Mana'ai,
Call,
Call,
Nasaya,
Nasaya,
Kamwa,
Kamwa,
Ashar,
Ashar,
Amarwa,
Amarwa,
Nayarasha,
Nayarasha,
Lanawa,
Lanawa,
Af,
Ah,
Na'awaf,
Nawa,
Allahayam,
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 Shayathamwa,
Nayatamwa,
Kagalgala,
Kagogala,
Kakwash,
Kakwash,
Lapanya Raka,
Lapanya Raka,
Ka'ash,
Ka'ash,
Sabaira,
Daba Ira,
Ya'ira,
Ya'ira,
Wakala Haba,
Wakala Haba,
Talahat,
Dalahat,
Balahat,
Balahat,
Harayam,
Harayam,
Khan,
Kun,
Tharadakma,
Tharadakma,
Basa Irika,
Basa Irika,
Wabasa,
Wabasa,
Wapafka,
Wapafka,
Thabahalam,
Zabahalam,
Mala'a,
Bala'a,
Panyaham,
Panyaham,
Kuala One,
Kuala One,
Waya,
Waya,
Bakwashwa,
Bakwashwa,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawah,
Yahawah,
Yabashwa,
Yabashwa,
Waya,
Waya,
Bahawa,
Bahawa,
Ayai,
Ayai,
Waya,
Waya,
Kaparwa,
Kaparwa,
Waya,
Waya,
Abadwa,
Abadwa,
Waya,
Waya,
Da'aiwa,
Da'aiwa,
Kaya Atha,
Kaya Atha,
Shamka,
Shamka,
Yahawah,
Yahawah,
Labadka,
Labadka,
Al Yawan,
Al Yawan,
I'll call
Al-Qal,
Ha'arataza.
Ha'arataza.
All right, Psalms, the 83rd chapter, now in the English. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still.
And be not still.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
For lo,
lo,
thine enemies make a tumult.
Thine enemies make a tumult.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They are taking crafty counsel against thy people.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
And consulted against thy hidden
and
ones.
consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have said,
Come,
and let us cut them off from being a nation.
And let us cut them off from being a nation.
That the name of Yasha Allah.
That the name of Yasha Allah.
May be no more remembrance.
Maybe no more remembrance.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against thee.
The tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites.
Of Moab.
Of Moab.
And the Hagarenes.
And the Hagarenes.
Gebal.
Gebal.
And Ammon.
And Ammon.
And Amalek.
And Amalek.
The Philistines.
The Philistines.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
Assur also is joined with them.
Assur also is joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah.
Salah.
Do unto them as unto the Midianites.
Do unto them as unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera.
As to Sisera.
As to Jabin.
As to Jabin.
At the brook of Kasan.
At the brook of Kasan.
Which perished that endured.
Which perished that endured.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles like a reb.
Make their nobles like a reb.
And like Zeal.
And like Zeal.
Yea.
Yea.
All their princes as Zabah.
All their princes as Zabah.
And as Zalmunna.
And as Zalmunna.
Who said?
Let
us take to ourselves.
Let us take to ourselves.
The houses of Yahweh in possession.
The houses of Yahweh in possession.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Make them like a wheel.
Make them like a wheel.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the fire burneth the wood.
As the fire burneth the wood.
And as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
And as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
So persecute them with thy tempest.
So persecute them with thy tempest.
And make them afraid with thy storm.
And make them afraid with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame.
Fill their faces with shame.
That they may seek thy name.
That they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Let them be confounded in trouble forever.
Let them be confounded in trouble forever.
Yea.
Yea.
Let them be put to shame and perish.
Let them be put to shame and perish.
That men may know that thou.
That men may know that thou.
Whose name alone.
Whose name alone.
Is Yahweh.
Is Yahweh.
Art the most high over all the earth.
Art the most high over all the earth.
The blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatha Yahweh.
Barakatha Yahweh.
Wa Yahweh Shai.
Wa Yahweh Shai.
Wa Mayaka Allah.
Wa Mayaka Allah.
Wa Alahaya.
Wa Alahaya.
Wa Tazab Ya'ah.
Wa Tazab Ya'ah.
Allah Wap Yahana.
Allah Wap Yahana.
Ha Allah Wap Yah.
Ha Allah Wap Yah.
Hasaranya.
Hasaranya.
Hakwata Zayanya.
Hakota Zayanya.
Hakaya Yoya.
Hakaya Yoya.
Waha Agwati.
Waha Akwasya.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Bashem Yahweh Shai.
Bashem Yahweh Shai.
Kawada Aman.
Kawada Aman.
In the English. Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Michael.
And Michael.
And the angels.
And the angels.
Commanding General Yahana.
Commanding General Yahana.
The generals.
The general.
The captains.
The captain.
The officers.
The officers.
The troopers.
The troopers.
And the sisters.
And the sisters.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Thank you, so be it.
Thank you, so be it.
Sorry, while you're shopping, we could be seated. All right. I'll go ahead and take this. Just for time. What time is it? Yeah, just for time's sake. I'll go ahead and I'll read the Hebrew. Just read this shit out of here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to read in Genesis, the 22nd chapter, 7 verses at a time. The first 7 verses I'll read in the Hebrew, and then we'll read it also in the English. All right? You get that pic from here. It's all good. All right, verse Sluggy. Chapter 22, Genesis chapter 22, verse 1 in the Hebrew. Wayahaya, Akar, Hadabaryum, Ha'alha, Waha Alahayum, Nasa, Af, Abarham, Wayamar, Ayawa, Abarham, Wayamar, Hananya, verse 2. Wayamar, Ka, Na'a, Af, Banka, Af, Yahayadka, Ashar, Ahabath, Ath, Yatazaka, Walaka, Laka, Al, Arataza, Hamarya, Wahai, Hawa, Sham, La'ila, Il, Akar, Haharyam, Ashar, Amar, Al Yaka, verse 3, Wayashakam, Abarham, Babakor, Wayakabash, Ath, Ath, Kamarwa, Wayakak, Ath, Shanya, Naaryawa, Athwa, Wa'ath, Yatazakwa, Banwa, Wayabakwai, Itazaya, Ila, Wayakwam, Wayalak, Al, Hamakum Kawam, Ashar, Amar, Lawa, Ha'alahayim, verse 4, Bayawam, Ashar Yeshaya, Wayasha, that's like it, Wayasha, Abarham, Ath, Ayanya Wa, Wayara, Ath, Hamakawam, Morakak, verse 5, Wayamar, Abarham, Al, Naaryawa, Shabwa, Lakam, Pa, Aim, Hahamwa, Slaki, Hahamawar, Wa'anya, Wa'ana, Slaki, Wahana Ir, Nalaka, Id, Ka, Wanasha, Thakwa, Slaki, Wanash, Waba, Al-Yaka, verse 6, Wayakwa, Abarham, Ath, Itazaya, Ha'ila, Wayasham, Il, Itazakak, Banwa, Wayakwak, Bayadwa, Ath, Ha'ash, Wa'ath, Hama, Slagi Hama, Slagi Akalta, Wayalakawa, Shanyaham, Yakadwa, verse 7, Waya Amar, Yatazakwak, that's like Yatazakak, Al, Abarham, Salaki, Abyawa, Waya Amar Abya, Waya Amar, Hananya, Vanya, Waya Amar, Salaki, Hana, Ha'ash, Waha'itazayam, Wa'aya, Hasha, Laila. All right, it's verse 1 through 7 in the Hebrew. You go ahead and read in the English.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 22, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham.
God did what?
Tempt Abraham.
So this is what the Most High did, right? The Most High at this point is about to test Abraham. He's going to test Abraham. He's going to put him to the test, right? Abraham say he's with the Most High, right? He say he's going to follow the Most High no matter what, right? But who really knows until the test gets put on you, right? Until something really hard happens, and now you really got to do it, right? You got to prove it. The Most High is about to make Abraham prove that he's really with him, right? Go ahead.
And said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here am I.
Mm-hmm. Here I am.
Here I am.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 2. And he said, take now thy son, thine only son.
So now this is what's partially, I say it's a 50-50 thing in this chapter, right? Because this is a spiritual thing. Not only is it the Most High is about to tell Abraham to sacrifice his son on the altar, right? But another big part of this chapter is the fact that the Most High called Isaac his only son. Abraham had several sons at this time, right? Keep going.
Isaac, whom thou lovest,
Mm-hmm.
and get thee into the land of Moriah,
Mm-hmm.
and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of.
Now hold me, Galatians, the 4th chapter, the 22nd verse. So now this sounds like a ridiculous thing. You get what I'm saying? The Most High is calling Abraham to sacrifice his son, to set him on fire. That sound ridiculous, right? Okay, we're gonna read the whole story, right? But just so everybody understands, the Most High doesn't want human sacrifices. You get what I'm saying? He doesn't want that. He doesn't require that. This was just a test of Abraham's faith, right? The Most High wanted to know, if I ask him to do something completely outlandish, is he going to do it because I told him to do it? Because that's all the Most High really wants. The Most High just wants your obedience. If you can just obey the Most High, do what the hell he tells you to do, and realize how stupid you are, then he's fine with you. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is just do what the hell he tells you to do. And that's what he's requiring of Abraham. But the one kicker in this specific verse is that the Most High called Isaac his only son, right? Abraham also had another son named Ishmael, right? So now in the book of Galatians, we're going to hear Paul talk about this story, and we're going to hear Paul talk about Abraham's sons concerning the promise. Give me Galatians 4:22.
This is the book of Galatians, chapter 4, verse 22. For it is written that Abraham had two sons,
Mm-hmm.
the one by a bondmaid,
Mm-hmm.
the other by a free woman.
So now Abraham had two sons, right? Which are who? Anybody?
Like you said, Isaac and Ishmael.
Right, Isaac and Ishmael. Now, one by a bondmaid and one by a free woman. What are their names? Go ahead.
Like you, sir. Hagar and Sarah.
So who's the bondmaid and who's the free woman?
Sluggy, sir.
Mhm.
Hagar would be the bondwoman.
Mhm.
Sarah would be the free woman.
Right. So now, who did Hagar give birth to? Who's the bondwoman? The bondwoman is Hagar, right? And she gave birth to who? Go ahead.
She gave birth to Ishmael.
Right. Ishmael is the one that Hagar gave birth to. Now, Ishmael today would be your Arabs, right? Any Arab, nation that you got, the Syrian cats, and those they all come from Ishmael, right? And they know it too, right? They know that their lineage in the Bible, that they come from Ishmael, right? And so Isaac comes from who? Sarah, right? Isaac is the progenitor of Jacob, who is the progenitor of the 12 tribes of Israel, which is what Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are. So now, the bondwoman or the slave woman gave birth to Ishmael, right? Which her name was Hagar. The free woman, which was Sarah, gave birth to Isaac, right? Now that matters. The reason why I stressed that and I talked about that for like 10 seconds just now is because it matters, right? And we're going to see why it matters. Go ahead.
Verse 23. But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh.
So who was born after the bondwoman? Ishmael, right?
Yes, sir.
Ishmael was born after the bondwoman, and he was born after the flesh, carnal, right? Keep going.
But he of the free woman was by promise.
Was by what?
Promise.
Was by promise. Isaac is where the covenant lies. The covenant lies within Isaac and his seed. Right. Ishmael gets a blessing, which we'll read about. Ishmael, like he'll beget 12 princes, right? He'll have his own land. So he gets blessings, but he doesn't get the promise. And that's what I think a lot of people don't really understand, is that the Most High blesses all nations. He can bless any nation he wants to. But the promise is what matters, because the promise is what? That the children of Israel would rule, right? The children of Israel would be above all nations, right? Let's keep reading.
Verse 24. Which things are an allegory.
Which things are what?
An allegory.
An allegory, right? Now, some people use this to say that the Bible is just like stories that weren't real because they see this word allegory. This term allegory is just talking about that story represents, it actually happened, but it represents something spiritual. There's something spiritual behind it, which Paul is about to break down. Go ahead.
For these are the two covenants.
Those are the what?
Two covenants.
Now, there's two covenants, right? One of them matters. One of them is just a blessing that, you just throw a blessing. It's like throwing a crumb to somebody. But one of them is giving them a 5-course meal, right? Keep going.
The one from the Mount Sinai, which gendereth to bondage, which is Agar.
Which is, it's Agar, right? It's Hagar, right? No, that's all good. So in the New Testament, it's translated out of the Greek. So some of the words the names are a little bit different. Like they call Isaiah Isaias, or Hosea, they call him OC, right? But this is Hagar, right? And that's the one that gendereth bondage, meaning slavery, right? Keep going.
Verse 25. For this Agar is Mount Sinai in Arabia.
And where?
Arabia.
Uh-huh.
And answereth to Jerusalem.
And does what?
Answereth to Jerusalem.
And answereth to Jerusalem, meaning what? This Hagar is underneath, right? Underneath Israel, underneath Jerusalem, right? Subservient. That's why, of course, it's talking about a bondwoman. This is a slave, right? A slave to who? Jerusalem, right? Keep going.
Which now is in bondage with her children.
So now, right now, we're in bondage now. Even though we're in bondage right now as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, stuck in this hellhole called America. Some of our brothers stuck in Haiti, eating mud pies, ain't got no goddamn food, right? Some of our brothers and sisters in Brazil, you get what I'm saying? All across the globe, really, right, are stuck in bondage, stuck in captivity. We're slaves. But even though we're slaves right now because of our disservice to the Most High, even then, them other nations, they're still under us. They still have to answer to us, right? Keep going.
Verse 26. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free.
Is what?
Free.
Is free. That's what we are, right? Like, keep reading real quick. Go ahead.
Which is the mother of us all.
Which is the mother of us all. So now it says we are free. Give me Revelation 2 and 9. I wasn't going to pull this precept. So if you could just pull it for me real quick for time's sake, right? It says we're free, but why are we not free then? We're slaves, right? We're slaves in America. We're captives in America. So why is the scripture, why is Paul telling us that Jerusalem, which is above, is free? I'll explain to you why, right? Give me Revelation 2 and 9.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty.
And poverty. Like, listen, this is Christ speaking to us. Right, Revelation 2 and 9 is Christ speaking to the children of Israel. And he's saying, I know the tribulation, the struggle that y'all got to go through. Right? He's talking to us. I know your poverty, right? The things that you have going without food. I was just talking about this the other day. Some of these young brothers and sisters in school, they don't eat unless it's lunchtime at school. You know what I'm saying? They go to bed hungry, wake up in the morning hungry, pissed off, fighting in their homeroom. You know what I'm saying? Because they ain't had nothing to eat since yesterday at lunch. They fasting every day. They doing a day of atonement every goddamn day. You get what I'm saying? That's poverty. That's real poverty, right? Keep going.
But thou art rich.
But we are what?
Rich.
Listen, even though we're in poverty, even though we're impoverished and we're trodden down and we're beat down and we're slaves in this place, we're rich. Why? Who could tell me why we're rich, even though we're in poverty? Go ahead.
Like it, sir, because we are the children of Israel.
We're the children of Israel. We're the Most High's chosen seed. That's why we're rich, right? We have what's called the promise, which is what we just read about. We have the promise, the covenant with the Most High, right? That's why we're rich, and we got to hold on to that, right? Keep reading.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not.
And are what?
Not.
Yeah, because those people that claim our title, right? Our title of being Jews, right? The Jews, the children of Israel, they claim that title, but they're not the Jews. We just read about it. We just read Christ tell you that them people are not the Jews. He knows that that's a blasphemous thing that they're doing. That's a blasphemous thing because they're stealing our name, right? Like that's the problem with a lot of people. They don't fully understand that the Most High gets extremely angry when his children are taken advantage of, right? And so the so-called Jewish man, he thrives and prospers. So you know he's not the children of Israel because Christ just said that the children of Israel would be in poverty and go through tribulation, right? The Jewish man runs the Diamond District in New York. You get what I'm saying? They run every goddamn thing. I know y'all heard about the Rothschilds. They run everything. They run the radio stations, the TV stations. Your Black Entertainment Television, BET, is ran by Jewish people. They run everything. They're rich. So they got it right now. They're not slaves right now, but they will be. You get what I'm saying? Us, we're slaves right now. We're captives right now. But the Lord is going to make a 180 degree flip, right? And they'll be on the bottom and we'll be on the top. Now take me back if you could. Take me to, let me see. No, take me to Genesis 16, 16th chapter. Okay. I'm gonna show y'all this prophecy I'm gonna show y'all this prophecy because once again, like I said, the Most High blesses any nation that He chooses to. A blessing is nothing. Once again, I could go outside. It's not unlawful for me to give a homeless white man $1, right? That's a blessing for him because he ain't got no money. So if I go outside, as a homeless man asks me for $1, I could bless him, give him $1. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And the Most High can do that to the other nations too, right? Even though I look down on that white man because he's not my brother, right? And because his forefathers have oppressed my people for generations, right? I look down on him for that, but if I decide to bless him, I could bless him. That's what the Most High does. The Most High does that same thing to these other nations. You can get a crumb, right? Give me Genesis 16 and 11.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 16, verse 11. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael.
So this is talking about the prophecy of Ishmael, the prophecy of what's going to come from that child, right? Let's keep reading.
Because the Lord hath heard thy affliction, and he will be a wild man.
He'll be a what?
Wild man.
He'll be a wild man. That's what he'd be. And that's, of course, you can see that today. Them Arabs is absolutely crazy, strapping bombs to their chest, running these goddamn buildings and blowing stuff up. We just, the white man just mourned 9/11 again, for the 20th goddamn year in a row. They should get over that. Like they tell us to get over slavery. Right. But for the 20th year in a row, the white man just mourned 9/11. What was that? A bunch of crazy ass Arabs driving a plane into some buildings. You get what I'm saying? Go ahead. They said never forget. Yeah. Right. They should never forget how goddamn dangerous them Arabs are. But what are they doing? Instead of letting the Mexicans in through the border, they letting them goddamn Afghanistanians, whatever the hell you call them, come by the hundreds of thousands. Across seas. You get what I'm saying? And they don't need a passport. They're refugees. Them goddamn Somalians come over here and hate us. They hate black Americans. You get what I'm saying? But they let them come over here without a passport. Why? Because they're refugees. Right? But the so-called Mexican man, he can't come across that border. When he's gonna build the economy. Like that Mexican man work harder than any goddamn body. You can't tell me no different. You get what I'm saying? He out there working right now for what, 20 cents an hour, picking them goddamn avocados. Like, but you don't let him in, but you're gonna let these Arabs come in, and all they're gonna do is set up shop in black neighborhoods. That's what they do. They're gonna set up these liquor stores. They're gonna set up all of these shops in black neighborhoods and thrive off of the black dollar and not put a single dollar back in the black rotation. You get what I'm saying? Why? Because that's them. They know, they understand family business. That's them. I don't blame them for it. Arab people should stick with Arab people. The problem is black people have to understand that we have to stick with each other. Stop giving these Arabs our money. You get what I'm saying? But that's the point, right? So anyway, I know I got off a track, right? But this is the prophecy of Ishmael. He's going to be a wild man. And of course, that's the Arab that you see today. Right? Keep going.
His hand will be against every man.
And his hand is against every goddamn body. I mean, listen, they do not give a damn who they touch. They fight against the Americans. They fight against the Russians. They fight against everybody, right? Keep going.
And every man's hand against him.
And everybody's going to fight them. And what do you see happening? Everybody attacks the Arabs. And they fight back. And they just constantly fight. That's where, if you go to the Middle East, you see that's the constant struggle that them Arabs got. They don't get no days off. Them niggas they ain't niggas, but they're men of war. You get what I'm saying? They must be men of war because all they do is fight day in and day out. That's all they do, right? Keep going.
And shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren.
And they're going to stick together. And that's exactly what the Arab man is. So I just wanted to show y'all that, to show y'all the difference between Ishmael and Isaac, okay? Because Ishmael gets some blessings. Isaac gets the promise. We have to make sure that reading on in this chapter that there's a clear separation. All right, so now take me back. No, actually, we're not done yet. Give me 17, Genesis 17.
Okay.
Just so we can understand a little bit more about Ishmael and the difference and the blessing that he gets in comparison to the blessing that we get as the children of Isaac, right? Genesis 17 and 20.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 17, verse 20. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee.
I have what?
Heard thee.
Listen, the Most High heard Ishmael and his parents call for, what about Ishmael? He should have a blessing too. Why does Isaac get the blessing, but Ishmael don't get the blessing? So Most High heard that, right? Keep going.
Behold, I have blessed him.
He got a blessing. Keep going.
And will make him fruitful. And will multiply him exceedingly.
Exceedingly. That's a nation. If you think about if you think about the major nations, right, in this entire earth, you can't forget about the Arabs, right? You have the East Indians, which are a major nation. You have the Arabs, which are a major nation. The Asians, major nation. The reason why this is important is because the Most High told Ishmael that he would become an exceedingly great nation, because there are a lot of small nations within nations. Like, for instance, Esau is the progenitor of a lot of the other nations, right? So like you have the Greeks, you get what I'm saying? You have the Romans, you have the so-called English, right? With the what you call it? I'm going towards like Moab and Ammon, right? So like, for instance, within Japheth, right? Japheth is a great nation, right? But he houses what? He houses the Polynesians. He houses the Moabites, which are the Chinese. He houses the Ammonites, which are the Japanese. He houses the indigenous, which are those the hell, whatever, Aborigines, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? There are many small nations within great nations, right? Same thing with the Arabs. The Arabs have many small nations within them. They have the Syrians, they have Afghanistanis, they have all of them, right? But Ishmael would be that great nation, right? Which is a blessing. Keep going.
12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation.
And he's a powerful nation. He got more nuclear weapons than we got as black people. You get what I'm saying? And that's he got more power than most people. You get what I'm saying? He comes like second to the white man. Or like third, because then you got the Chinese and all of that. The point being, he up there. He got a whole lot of power. On that power grid, he's up there, up high. Niggas and everybody else is like down low, right? Because we don't have nuclear weapons. We got guns and pistols.
They're very known for making like weapons.
Like,
Automatic, like
real
crazy,
weapons.
Crazy weapons in the black market. I've seen a couple of that, and it's like things that you wouldn't find over here. Like, oh, you have to get over there.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that's the nation that we're dealing with these Arabs, man. That's what you can see why the white man is so involved with the Arabs, because that's not really an enemy that you really want to have. You get what I'm saying? Them cats is dangerous, right? That's why the Lord said he's going to make them a great nation, right? So we just read, right? Behold, I've blessed him, right? And I'll make him fruitful. Read verse 21.
Verse 21. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac.
With who?
Isaac.
Listen, yeah, he gets those blessings. He'll be a great nation and all of that. He'll be fruitful, right?
Right.
But my covenant, I'm going to establish with Isaac, meaning Isaac and his bloodline gets the covenant, right? Keep going.
Which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year.
And that was the prophecy of Isaac. And it didn't need no explanation for that. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, Abraham already knew that his bloodline was going to be the chosen line. You know what I'm saying? He knew that already. You say something?
I was going to add, not only that, but also you got to take from this is that, as all these other nations get blessings, the Most High will always dwell with us, unless we are against the Most High, unless we break the covenant, unless we, don't keep the law, statutes, unless we don't fear the Most High is not going to be with us.
Right. Yeah, damn right. That's the covenant. Remember, I say this all the time. A covenant is a contract, meaning it requires at least at minimum two parties, which in this case, it's the Most High and the children of Israel, right? He's going to uphold his end of the contract. His end of the contract is making us a great nation above all other nations, right? And being the ruling class on the entire earth. But our end of the covenant, our end of the contract is that we must keep his law, statutes, and commandments. Just listen to Pops. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That's our father. You just got to listen to your Pops. That's it. It's that simple, right? But of course, it's hard for us because we go, a lot of our brothers and sisters get hooked on drugs. It's a terrible captivity that we live in. You get what I'm saying? So it's so hard for us to keep the law. But when you really come into the understanding of the truth, it's easy. It's just, okay, I got to do this. And it's that simple. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things that I can't eat. There's certain things that I can't do, right? There's a certain way that I must behave in order for me to have my father's favor, right? You say something?
So if I could, sir, we like this, how the scriptures and the Most High in the scriptures calls his children hard-headed and stubborn.
Yeah, stiff
This is
neck.
how, like, if you're a Black, Hispanic, or Native, this is how you know you are the children of the Most High God.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not afraid that the Most High God will kill you,
Yeah.
you know you're His child. Because, and I'm Black, Hispanic, and Native, because we're the only race of people who know that there is a Creator. We all know it inside, and we're the only race who is trying to ascribe to being agnostic.
Right.
Or
Like we don't know what's
Right.
going on there. Yeah.
And everybody else is calling the plagues of the Most High God Mother Nature.
Right.
And we know, no, there's a creator that's turning the dials to this thing.
And niggas still ain't scared enough. And like that's my thing too. Like I said this, when we was having our camp back on First Friday, more white people came up and asked what we was doing than Black people. Like Black people kept walking by, Hispanics kept walking by. It's just it's some crazy niggas shot on the street. You get what I'm saying? But white people came up and inquired, and we told them, listen, this ain't even for you, right? Like white people can't even, they can't take hold of the covenant. We don't want them to read this Bible. This Bible is a black book. You get what I'm saying? This doesn't belong to anybody else. So we tell them, no, this ain't for you. They want to come grab a flyer and all of that, and the flyer. The only thing the flyer gonna tell them is that they're gonna be slaves in the kingdom. The only thing the flyer is gonna tell them is that they're not the people of the Most High. You get what I'm saying? But Black people, as a heavy point that you said, Black people don't give a damn. Just, not scared enough, right? And that's when, once again, the scriptures call us stiff neck over and over and over again, because that's the type of people that we are. Right. Which is why I keep telling people, listen, if you are the children of Israel, you're stupid, and you have to know you're stupid, right? Because the ox knows his master. An ox is a dumb animal, right? An ass is a donkey. Ass knows his master's crib, right? They know their place, but my people do not consider. Israel does not consider, right? We don't give a damn. It's because we're so damn stupid. We need a shepherd, somebody to lead us. We think we can do it all on our own. Right?
That's in Isaiah 1 and 3.
God. Yep, Isaiah 1 and 3. Like, and that's you have to remember that. Never get too high in in your head. Don't get too puffed up thinking you know something. You always need help, right? And you always need a leader. You always do. You know what I'm saying? Even me, I'm up here teaching the class. If I think I know something, I tell myself I don't, and I need to call a brother above me. You get what I'm saying? To get the answer and confirm. You know what I'm saying? I can't just read this Bible. Like so many people sit and read this Bible and think that, oh yeah, that's what this means. That's where doctrine comes from and religion comes from. You know how many different religions are created out of the Bible? All of them. Every single religion is created out of the Bible. You get what I'm saying? Islam, out of the Bible. You get what I'm saying? All forms of Catholicism, all forms of Christianity, Baptist, Methodist, they all believe something different, but it's all off of an interpretation of the Bible, right? That's because they don't understand that they're stupid. You have to understand that you're stupid and that you don't know what the hell you're reading. It's that simple. I hate to break it to y'all, but it's that simple, right? Now go ahead and take me back over to 22nd chapter. Yep, and then read it, verse 3.
The book of Genesis, chapter 22, verse 3. And Abraham rose up early in the morning.
So he rose up early in the morning. Now remember, in verse 2, we just read, the Most High told him, you got to get up on this mountain and sacrifice your son, the son that you love. Sacrifice him, burn him to death, right? What did Abraham do directly after that? He woke up early in the morning. Keep going.
And saddled his ass.
And he put a saddle on his donkey. Go ahead.
And took 2 of his young men with him.
Go ahead.
And Isaac his son.
And took Isaac with him. Go ahead.
And clave the wood for the burnt offering.
So he picked up the wood for the burnt offering. Go ahead.
And rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him.
So what is Abraham getting ready to do? He's getting ready to burn his son to death. Immediately after the Moses, he didn't wait, a couple weeks to think on it. He didn't talk to his wife and ask, baby, what you think about this? He didn't do that. He just got the hell up in the morning and he went to go sacrifice his son. Give me Psalms the 119th chapter. Like what we want to understand is we have to have that same spirit. We have to make haste to serve the Most High God. We can't just, sit on the couch and, and contemplate. Should I do this? Should I listen to the Most High? You get what I'm saying? It can't be like that. And we're gonna see the type of man, the same type of man that Abraham was. Who was Abraham? What was his title? Right? He was a friend of God. The Most High called him a friend. God damn, that's a beautiful thing. I wish I could be called the friend of God. I pray that I can be that type of person that the Most High would call a friend. He don't call everybody his friend. He don't do that. You get what I'm saying? He'll call you his son, but a friend is a different thing. You get what I'm saying? And Abraham earned that title because of his obedience. David was called what? A man after the Most High's heart. These brothers are brothers that you should model yourself after. If you a man, you should model yourself after these brothers, and sisters should model themselves this way too. As far as serving the Most High God, you should model yourself this way too. You get what I'm saying? Give me 57.
This is the book of Psalm, chapter 119, verse 57. Thou art my portion, O Lord. I have said that I would keep thy words.
Listen, David told the Most High, I'm going to keep your words. I'm going to keep your laws. I'm going to obey you, right? Keep going.
I entreated thy favor with my whole heart. Be merciful unto me according to thy word.
Right. So David is asking the Most High, please be merciful unto me because I've done everything that you've asked. Right. I've kept all of your words. Right. I entreated thy favor with my whole heart. What is that? What is the Most High's favor? Most High's favor is what he favors. He favors you to to obey him. He favors you to listen to him, to serve him, right? To do what the hell he asks you to do or tells you to do. And David did that with his whole heart, with his whole mind. His whole mind was set on serving the Most High, right? Keep going.
Verse 59. I thought on my ways.
He did what?
Thought on my ways.
Listen, he thought on his ways. He considered the way that he was acting, the things that he was thinking, right? His actions. He thought on those things and he did what?
And turned my feet unto thy testimonies.
And he turned his feet unto the Most High's testimonies, unto the Most High's laws, statutes, commandments, ordinances. He turned his feet, which means what? He changed his path. Remember, David was not always the best guy. You get what I'm saying? He had sex with another man's wife and then sent him out to war to kill him. You get what I'm saying? He's not always been the most honorable person, but he did what? He thought on his ways. He said, damn, that's a terrible thing. What a disservice to my father who put me in the position of a king over Israel. What a disservice for me to break one of my father's commandments. You get what I'm saying? So he decided, you know what? I'm going to turn my feet to the Most High's testimonies, which is his laws. I'm never going to do that again. And that's what we all got to come to that because we've all done things we wasn't supposed to do. Right. You know what I'm saying? All of us in here, nobody was born into the truth. I know none of us was born into the truth. You get what I'm saying? So what we have to do is think about the things that you used to do that were against the Most High and then change. That's it. I just did a class on repentance. What, yesterday? No, Thursday. I did a class on repentance just the day after the Day of Atonement. You have to change. You cannot remain the same person that was getting high. You know what I'm saying? Being a drunkard, you know what I'm saying? Being a whoremonger. You get what I'm saying? You cannot be that same person anymore. You have to change. And that's what David did, right? He thought on his ways. He considered what he was doing. He knew it was wrong. He turned his ways to the testimonies of the Most High, right? Keep going.
Verse 60. I made haste.
He did what?
Made haste.
What is haste? Quickness. With the quickness, he made haste. Go ahead.
And delayed not.
And delayed not, meaning he did not wait to do what? Keep going.
Keep thy commandments.
To keep the Most High's commandments. When he realized that what he was doing was wrong, he made haste to keep the commandments. You get what I'm saying? And I'll give y'all a quick story, right? So when I first learned about being an Israelite, what it was really about and stuff like that, I read that you had to wear fringes, right? So what I ended up doing, right? I went to the store. I went to a dollar store or something like that, and I got a blue piece of ribbon because the scriptures say you gotta have the border of blue, right? It's an embarrassing story, y'all. Don't listen. Don't tell nobody about this, even though I'm live streaming on the internet. Whatever. God damn it. Anyway, so I got a blue piece of ribbon, tied it around my shirt, right, and then cut little fringes out of my shirt. It looked like a goddamn idiot. I straight up idiot. You get what I'm saying? That was me thinking I needed to make haste to keep that law. Now, just for everybody to understand, men, do not wear fringes on your t-shirt. The scriptures say to wear fringes on your garment, right? If that meant put it on your t-shirt, that means put it on your boxers. That means put it on your socks. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what it means. It means put it on your garment. You see, me here, I got this garment, and I got fringes on the garment. But on the shirt underneath, I don't have fringes on it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is like an undergarment. This goes underneath your garment. Okay?
So what about the women?
You wear fringes on your dress.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to wear fringes on. Yeah. That's.
So if I had a shirt, I'll put it on my shirt.
I mean, okay, so for sisters, you wouldn't want to put it on a shirt. If it's a longer shirt or whatever the case, you can put it on there for decoration. We just tell the men not to do that because that whole system of men wearing fringes on their t-shirts, it comes from what's the best way to say it? It comes from like a bastard child. You get what I'm saying? Because when cats left the truth, we never in the UPK since 1969 never wore fringes on our t-shirts. When cats left the truth, namely, you know, them purple cats, when they left the truth, they started to put fringes on their t-shirts. And that was a form of rebellion. That's why we tell brothers, do not put fringes on your t-shirts, because it's considered like rebellion. But sisters, you can pretty much wear fringes wherever the hell you want. I mean, you want it on you want it on a shirt, sure. You can have it on a shirt, you put it on your, you know. But it's meant to be more so for like your garment for like not so casual, more what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, scriptural, but not casual. What's the other word?
Formal.
Yeah, formal. Yeah, holy, formal. Like what y'all got, y'all want to have fringes on that. You get what I'm saying? That type of thing. That's what it was for. Point being though, the reason why I brought that up is me making haste to keep the law was like, nigga, cut your shirt up. Cut this beautiful white shirt up that I paid money for, cut it up, destroy it, and put fringes on it. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have done that, but that was me in the spirit trying to make haste to keep the law. Abraham did the same thing. Abraham said, okay, I guess I got to wake up in the morning and go sacrifice my son on this altar. You gonna say something?
Salagi, sir. To follow up on what the priest was just talking about, I did the same thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like that's the spirit you want to be in. Now, when it happened though, what happened? You got corrected. You know what I'm saying? The brothers told you, I understand your spirit out, but you ain't got to cut your goddamn shirt up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You want to be in that spirit, but according to knowledge.
According to knowledge,
sir.
right? That's zeal, right? Because
Sir.
Christians have a zeal, but not according to knowledge. You get what I'm saying? They don't have a zeal according to knowledge. They want to, you know, run up and down the aisle in the Christian church and scream and take their clothes off and, you know, get hit with the preacher's jacket. You know what I'm saying? And fall over. All of that. You get what I'm saying? That's what they want to do. That's a zeal. They're excited about, you know, so-called serving God, but not according to knowledge, because the Lord don't want you acting a goddamn fool running up. I wish somebody would get up and say hallelujah and run up and down here. I'm kicking you the hell out of here. You got to get out of here. You're disturbing the class. You know what I'm saying? That's the point. You know what I'm saying? So that was excellent that you brought that out. Zeal according to knowledge.
What do the fringes represent?
The fringes represent keeping the law, right? So just to give you kind of a quick backstory, you can write this down for your notes. Numbers, the 15th chapter. In verse 38. All right. That's where the scripture. Now you'll want to read the entire chapter. For time's sake, I'm not going to read it, but I'll just kind of paraphrase what happened. There was a brother that was working on the Sabbath day, right? He was gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. That was his job. On the Sabbath, you're supposed to take that day off of work. You're not supposed to do what you do for work, right? The brother didn't listen. He went, he gathered sticks, which was his job, worked on the Sabbath, that's a commandment. So he broke a commandment. Everybody got together, stoned the brother to death, killed him, because that was the punishment for breaking the Sabbath. And then the Most High told Moses to tell all the children of Israel to wear fringes on their garments. So that way, when they look down, they see them fringes in that border of blue, that they remember to keep the law of the Most High, right? That's it, all right? But like I said, read that chapter on your own. It gives you real good insight on why we need to, why we wear fringes, all right? Okay, let's get back to it. So once again, Abraham made haste, right? That's why I brought out that precept, because that's the spirit that we got to have. We have to make haste, and Abraham did it on a thing that wasn't so easy to do, right? Go ahead and read back at 22.
It's the book of Genesis, chapter 22, and verse 4. Mm-hmm. Then on the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place afar off.
So this is a travel that he had to make. He had to make a voyage, whatever the hell you want to call it. He had to make a long trip, right? On the third day, he looked up and he saw the mountain far off. Remember, the mountain that he was supposed to go to was a mountain in the land of Moriah, which was far from him. So he had to go on a journey, right? Keep going.
Verse 5. And Abraham said unto his young men, abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship.
So he told the two young men that he brought with him, he told them, okay, sit here for a minute. I'm gonna take this donkey, I'm gonna go with my son, and we're gonna make an offering. Y'all just sit tight, right? Go ahead.
And come again to you.
He didn't take the donkey. It's like he left the donkey with the young man. It's like he took his son to go make this offering. Go ahead.
And come again to you. Mm-hmm. Verse 6. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son.
So he take the wood that he's about to set on fire and he puts it on top of his son, right? So you can imagine his son like, what the hell is going on, right? Keep going.
And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering?
So he's saying, where is the lamb? Now, you can imagine, if you a mother in here, if you a father in here, you can imagine that feeling of your son is like, okay, hey, Pops, I see that we got, the fire and the wood and all of that for the burnt offering, but where's the lamb? Like, that would break your heart. If you had to go through that, it would break your heart. You would probably tear up. And for most people, it would make you say, I can't do this shit, man. I gotta get out of here. What the hell am I doing? I'm about to kill my son. You get what I'm saying? Like, that would be what would go through most people's head. We're going to read the next 7 verses in the Hebrew and we'll read it in the English, and then we'll get Abraham's response, which that's a strong brother, man. And like, that's why you have to model yourself after him. You got to model yourself after him, because no matter what, you must serve the Most High, even when it's hard, even when it breaks your heart. Like, when people come into the truth and you actually come into the truth and you really start putting the Most High first, everybody's going to leave you, man. They're going to think you in a cult. They're going to call us a cult and, all of this thing. They're going to say you with that cult. They got you, they got you coming to these Sabbath services and they speak in this weird language. Like, nobody understands it unless they come in here. So what's going to happen to you is you're going to end up being alone. You'll be alone outside of here. But in here, you'll have brothers and you'll have sisters in here. You'll have a new family. Like, that's what Christ said. Christ said, who is my mother and my father? Right? And he pointed to his disciples and he said, behold, my mother and my father, my brethren. You get what I'm saying? Because Mary was not in the truth. His mother, Mary, was not in the truth. So he didn't consider her, of course, fleshly mother, whatever. You still reverence your mother, whatever the case is. But his true family was the brothers that was riding and dying for him. And that's what becomes, when you come in here, you'll start to realize that's the change that happens in your life. Give me 1 second before we do this. Let me see. You have something? Go ahead. Go ahead.
This story, to build on what the priest is saying, is so heavy, because this is a man who is a father, and he's thinking of his son, his only son, the one that he loves. And before he does what the Most High says and kills his son for a burnt offering, you got to believe that his son is scared and confused. Yeah. He himself is sad and very unwilling to do it, but in service to the Most High, he is going to commit. Yeah. And at the end, we know at the end of this story, the Most High stops him. Yeah. But the real thing is, this is it parallel to abortion. This is a man who has watched his son grow, and before he came out of the womb, I guarantee his mom was thinking, I wonder what type of man my son will be, if she knew, and what type of woman my daughter will be. Yeah. The only difference is the man serving the Most High, and the woman should be serving her husband. Mm-hmm. It's an amazing thing, the parallel that the Most High has set up in this book, Salakia. No, that's actually extremely true, and that's actually a heavy point with the abortion, right? Because this is the thing, like, especially in America, men really have no say in America, and that's ass backwards. It's not supposed to be that way. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it myself. I've seen it personally. I've seen it on the internet. I've seen it too many times, where a brother is begging a woman, please do not kill my son. Please don't kill I know that, and it's at the point where he knows, okay, we're gonna have a boy. So it's like 5-6 months into the pregnancy, and he's like, please don't kill my son. And she like, nah, nigga, this ain't about you. It's my body. Bitch, you got a body in your stomach right now. You got a body right there in this part of your body right here. That's not you. That's something else. Push that thing out and give it to me. You get what I'm saying? That's why we in the UPK, we don't, listen, if you Black, Hispanic, or Native, and that baby's father is Black, Hispanic, or Native, if he don't want him and you don't want him, push that thing out, give it to us. Right. Push that baby out, give it to us, and we'll make that boy into a warrior, or we'll make that girl into a beautiful daughter of Zion. That's what we'll do here. Right. That's what we do, because that's the spirit behind. That's even the spirit behind this story. You know what I'm saying? But all throughout the Bible. But I had somebody that had a question, right? Somebody had asked. Let me see.
Somebody had asked, John 15:14 says, this is when Christ said this, ye are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you. So remember how I told you, I would love to be a friend of the Most High, right? Give me verse 12.
This is the book of John, chapter 15, verse 12. This is my commandment, that ye love one another.
That we do what?
Love one another.
Now, this is Christ speaking. This is not the Most High, right? The Most High and Christ are two completely separate entities. Let's make sure we understand that. There is no Trinity. They are separate, right? Christ is the Son of God, right? And Christ said that this is his commandment, that we must love each other, right? Love your brother. Go ahead.
As I have loved you.
As Christ has loved us. Christ gave up his life for us. So that means for our brothers, for our sisters, we must do the same thing. That's a commandment from Christ. Keep going.
Verse 13. Greater love hath no man than this.
And this is what Christ knew he was going to die for his people. So greater love have no man than this. There is no greater love than this, which is what? Go ahead.
That a man laid down his life for his friends.
For his who?
Friends.
For his friends. You have to lay down your life for your people, man. For your people. And now we're going to understand who those friends are. Go ahead.
Verse 14. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you.
So you a friend of Christ if you keep the law. If you keep the law, you are a friend of Christ. So the sister asked, right? Does this mean that we are friends of Christ or the Most High? This means if you keep the law, you're friends of Christ, right? Christ is a man just like you. You know what I'm saying? A man just like you. He's flesh just at this time, of course, he was flesh just like you. He lived a life just like you, right? You keeping the law, statutes, and commandments and following what Christ told you to do makes you a friend of Christ, right? So that was a good question.
Yeah, so basically, just your actions will dictate, what you are with the Most High. Either an enemy, just like I believe, if you're a friend of the world, then you're an enemy of the Most High.
Right. James 4:4. Yeah, James 4:4.
Right. If you are a friend of the world, if you love the world, then you are an enemy of the Most High.
Right.
And that's really where the whole action comes into place.
Right.
It's gonna take a lot of sacrifices, and when I mean sacrifice, I mean, losing birthdays, losing friends, losing family sometimes.
Right.
Too. Even sometimes lose your sons and daughters, for serving the Most High, right? Because when you're in the world, you love everything that comes with the world, right? Which is good, like you brought out, right? But when you love the Most High, you get, you'll get like a sense of peace, right? You get that because in the world, all you're really doing is destroying yourself mentally with the whole idea that, we're all equal. Let's vote, let's do this, let's do that, right? Let's come together. But then you don't know who your enemy is. When your people, which is blacks, Hispanics, Americans, those are your brothers, those are your sisters, right? And yet you don't know you're like blind to the truth, right? And we're all brothers and sisters. We're all here, and we're children of God. And not everybody is given the promises. Not everybody is given the covenant. Right.
Damn right. I'm gonna read the next 7 verses. So verses 8 through 14 in the Hebrew, and then we'll read it in English. Genesis 22 and verse 8. Waya Amar, Abaraham, Alahayim, Yara'ah, Lawa, Hasha, La'ila, Banya, Wayalakawa, Salaki, Shanyaham, Yakadwa, verse 9, Waya Ba'awa, Al, Hamakwam, Ashar, Amar, Lawa, Alahayim, Wayaban, Sham, Abaraham, Ath, Hamazabak, Waya Iraq, Ath, Aitazayam, Waya Iquad, Waya Iquad, Ath, Yatazakak, Banwa, Waya Sham, Akwa, Isle, Hamawazabak, Mama Isle, la'itazayim. Verse 10. Waya shalak. Abaraham. Ath. You got it. I'll go ahead. Yadwa. Waya kwak. Ath. Hama. Salakia. Hama akalath. Lashakat. Ath. Banwa. Verse 11. Waya korah. Al Yawa. Mala'ak. Yahweh. Man. Hashamyam. Waya Amar. Abarham. Waya Amar. Hananya. Verse 12. Waya Amar Al. Tashalak. Yadka. Al. Hana'ar. Wa'al. Tha'aisha. Lawa. Ma'awama. Kaya. Aitha. Yadaithaya. Kaya. Yara'a. Alahayim. Atha. Wala'a. Kashakaf. Ath. Banka. Ath. Yahayadika. Mamanya. Verse 13. Wayasha'a. Abarham. Ath. Ayanya wa. Wayara'a. Wahana. Ayal. Akar. Nakaz. Basabka. Bakwar Nayawa. Wayalaka. Barham. Wayakwak. Ath. Ha'ayal. Waya'al. Hawa. La'ila. Thakath. Banwa. 14. Wayakora. Abarham. Sham. Hamakuwam. Ahawa'a. Yahweh. Yara'a. Ashar. Ya'amar. Hayawam. Bahar. Yahweh. Yara'a. All right. So that's verses. Damn, I should have closed that. That's verses 8 through 14 in the Hebrew. We're gonna read those same verses in the English. Break it down, get an understanding.
It's the book of Genesis, chapter 22, verse 8. And Abraham said, "My son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering." So now
this is the response that Abraham gave to his child. The child that he loved, right? Child that he had a special connection with. His child said, what? I see the wood. I see everything ready for a sacrifice right now, but where's the lamb? Now he's saying this as the wood is being piled on top of him. Like, now think about that for a second. He's laying down on this damn, on this board or whatever, right? And Abraham is laying wood on top of him. Mm-hmm. And so Isaac is like, hey, look, I see the wood that you're laying on top of me, right? But where is the sacrifice? Where's the lamb for the sacrifice? So Abraham's response is this. He said, what? God will provide himself a lamb for the burnt offering, right? Basically, Most High will provide the offering. Basically, he's telling his son without telling him, you are the offering, right?
So they went over there, and they came to the place which God told him of, and he was over there. He laid the wood and bound Isaac his son.
He bound his son, meaning he tied his son up to the altar.
And he hit the altar upon the and Abraham stretched forth his hand, and he took the knife to slay his son.
So he stretched forth his hand. So he had a knife. And he took the knife and stretched forth his hand, getting ready to cut his son. You know what I'm saying? Basically to kill him, right? That's what you do to an animal, right? When you sacrifice an animal, you kill the animal first, and then you burn him up, right? You burn him up, cut him up, whatever the case is, right? Keep going.
Verse 11. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, here am I.
Right. So now there's an angel of the Lord calling out to Abraham, saying like, cause he's really about to do it. You know what I'm saying? He got a knife up, ready to drop down on his son. And so the angel of the Lord calls unto Abraham, says, Abraham, right? Abraham said, here I am, right? Go ahead.
And he said, lay not thine hand upon the lad.
Now you can imagine the relief, maybe a little bit of anger too. I don't know. You know, I might be kind of pissed off, you know. But point being though, is like this angel of the Lord is telling you, don't touch this boy, right? Don't touch this boy. Keep going.
Neither do thou anything unto him.
Mm-hmm.
For now I know that
for
thou.
What?
Now I know.
For now I know. He didn't know for sure before, because there's so many people that say, I love God. So many people pray and all of those things, and they think they love God, but when times get tough, they're not going to serve God. You know how many drug dealers say they serve God? You know how many people? You know how many drug dealers that weren't drug dealers at first, and they prayed to God and love God, but when the first of the month is coming up and they know they got rent to pay, they're gonna get out there and sell poison to their people. They're gonna forget praying to God and they're gonna go out and hustle that dope. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the one thing that they know, right? What Abraham did is the equivalent. Well, I don't want to say it's the equivalent. I don't, because it's willing to sacrifice your son is a little bit different. But I'll say it's something like you understanding that I cannot sell poison to my people just because I'm short on rent. I'm going to have to pray to the Most High even harder. Make sure I'm serving him. Ask the Most High if I'm doing something wrong, right? But regardless, never stray away from that path. So when the first comes, you ain't got the money, you're just going to keep praying to the Most High. Go to work, of course. Don't be an idiot, right? Go to work, get some money. You know what I'm saying? Get some money the way you know how to get money that's lawful, right? But point being is, you're not going to go outside of the confounds of what the Most High allows you to do, or what the Most High tells you to do, right? And that's what Abraham did. Abraham stayed within those confines. He said, "Listen, I gotta do this." It was just proven that he had trust in the Most High. That's why the angel of the Lord said, "For now I know." Go ahead.
That thou fearest God.
That you fear the Most High more than you care. You care about the Most High more than you care about the life of anything, like your own life, the life of your son, life of your cattle, the life of your livestock. You care about the Most High more than anything. That's what the angel of the Lord is telling Abraham, because he was willing to, and the Lord knows, he knows your heart. You get what I'm saying? And he knows how much Abraham loved his son. That's why he said, take your son, your only son, even though it wasn't his only son. It was the one son that he loved. And then, of course, the Most High said, the one that you love, right? He knew that Abraham loved this boy. But he also wanted to test to see, do you love this boy more than me? Ask Ezekiel. You can just ask Ezekiel, the prophet Ezekiel. Ezekiel loved his wife more than he loved the Lord. Right. And what did the Lord do? He killed his wife. He told, listen, the Most High told Ezekiel, hey, listen, because you care about your woman more than you care about serving me, your woman's going to have, a stroke or something like that. She's just going to kill over and die. He says, your woman is going to die and you're not going to cry. You better not cry. That's what the Lord told him. You better not cry. Your woman's going to die. You better not cry. You're going to wake up in the morning. You're going to go and you're going to teach at camp. You're going to set up a pulpit of wood on the ground, knowing that your woman is dying, and you're going to teach the people. You're going to put me before that woman of yours. Right. And he made it happen because the woman's gone. He can't put her before anything. She's gone. That's what the Lord will do, because he wants you to put him before everything else. Well, he proved Abraham this day, right? He proved Abraham. Abraham made sure that he feared the Lord enough to put the Lord before everything else, right? Keep going.
Seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me.
There's that only son again. Give me Deuteronomy, the 8th chapter. Seeing that you have not withheld your son from me. Like, he didn't withhold his son. This proved to the Most High that if Abraham would have asked him to slit his own throat, if the Lord would have asked Abraham to slit his own throat, he would have done it. He would have killed his wife. He would have killed everything. He would have went on a goddamn rampage, right? If you're willing to kill the son that you love over everything, you're willing to do anything. You get what I'm saying? And the Most High proved that day. You get what I'm saying? So let's get Deuteronomy, the 8th chapter. You can start at verse 1.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 1. All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live.
That you may what?
Live.
So keeping the commandments is life, right? Keep these commandments so that way you can live. Go ahead.
And multiply.
And multiply. Have babies. Have children. Keep going.
And go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers.
Remember, this is after the Exodus. This is when these brothers and sisters was wandering. I don't say wandering. People say that. They was in the wilderness for 40 years, right? After they came out of Exodus. Out of the land of Egypt. And they were going into the land of Israel, right? The land that the Most High is prepared for them, right? Keep going.
Verse 2. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness to humble thee.
That's why I don't like to say wandering, because it clearly says the Lord led them for 40 years in the wilderness, right? So just so everybody understands that, right? But what happened is the Most High led these children of Israel, led our forefathers. These people, if you Black, Hispanic, or Native, these people are the progenitors of you today. You're reading about your ancestors. That's what you're reading about, right? These are all people. When you read the book of Exodus through the book of Deuteronomy, through Joshua, these are all your foreparents, your foremothers, your forefathers. This is your family that we're reading about, right? And so now Moses is telling the children of Israel, you should remember, or shall remember, all the way which the Most High God led you those 40 years in the wilderness to do what? To humble you, right? Go ahead.
And to prove thee.
And to do what?
Prove thee.
And to prove you. Go ahead.
To know what was in thine heart.
To know what was in your heart. See, people have this misconception of the Most High, right? People think that like the Most High he knows you completely. When I say knows you completely, I mean, people think like it's like a magical thing. Like he knows where you're going to be in 50 years. The Lord only knows where you're going to be in 50 years by what you're doing now, but it can change. Like for instance, a few years ago, 5 years ago, the Lord was looking at me like, yeah, this nigga going to be dead in 20 years. He's going to be dead in 5 years, whatever. You get what I'm saying? But when I came into the truth, the Lord proved me, right? He proved me, and he proved me to know what was in my heart, right? He searched out my heart. When I came in here, then he saw, okay, this brother going to live a long life. Why? Because he's keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, which we just read in this same chapter, verse 1, that the laws and statutes and commandments are life. You get what I'm saying? And so that's how the Most High knows you. He has to prove you. Like, okay. I hate saying the same, right? I'm not gonna say the same, but I'll give you kind of like an example, right? So the ones that do best in life as far as without like any help, you get what I'm saying? Like most Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans grow up, and the ones that went through a lot of struggle coming up had to fend for themselves. Their mother might not have been shit. You get what I'm saying? Father might not have been around. Whatever the case, they had to cook for themselves. They had to clean, all of that. They end up being the ones that grow up, and in life they fend for themselves, meaning they go get it. You know what I'm saying? Those be the ones that go get the good jobs and this, then the third. Why is that? Because they went through something that built them up. You know what I'm saying? That struggle, that hardship, it builds you up, right? So take this on a large scale, for instance, right? The Lord took the children of Israel through the wilderness for 40 years, and I mean they had to fight. The men of war had to go and fight these nations, had to fight these African nations, the Canaanites, all of these other nations. The Girgashites had to take their land. You get what I'm saying? They went days without eating sometimes. Like, it was hard. Some of them left, right? You hear about the mixed multitude that comes out of the land of Egypt with them. They caught the mixed multitude, corrupted the children of Israel and said, "Look, y'all gotta, we gotta do something else about this, because this God that y'all following is gonna get us killed. We ain't eating nothing." You know what I'm saying? You find that in the book of Numbers, I believe the 11th chapter, but don't quote me on that. Point being is, they were being tested. They were being tried. The ones that made it to the end, Moses didn't even make it to the end now. Moses didn't even make it to the end, right? Moses let his emotions get in the way of his salvation, or his, I don't call it salvation, but his entrance into the kingdom, right? The Lord said what? The Lord said, because of this, you will not see the land of Israel. You get what I'm saying? So that's when, before they could even go into the land of Israel, Moses had to die. You're being tested. Now you're being tested today in a different way. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to say it's harder or easier, but I will tell you this: being in America and keeping hold of your customs and your traditions and your culture is extremely hard, because America wants black women to be sluts. America wants black women to get rid of their husbands. America wants black women to be independent, which black women are not meant to be independent. They're meant to have a man. Same thing with black men. They want black men to be effeminate. They want black men to leave their women. They want black men to be, that lion in the house that the scriptures talk about that you can't be. They want to pit us against each other. So it's so hard for black people in America to take hold of our culture, right? It was hard in the wilderness too, just in a little bit of a different way. Why? Because they didn't have no food. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't eating like, I can go to the store and buy some food. They was I don't want to say wandering. They was in the wilderness though. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what the Most High was doing. He was proving them, same way he proved Abraham. Say something.
When they were in the wilderness, I guess the purple people, people were saying that the reason why they were wandering around was because they were complaining and murmuring, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when the Most High come back for us, aren't we supposed to be learning how not to murmur? Because we're supposed to murmur and complain, we're going to get our heads and stuff chopped off, right?
Yeah, you can't. Okay, so like the scriptures say that you can't. A complainer can't enter the kingdom of heaven. That's what the scriptures say. Like you can't be the type of. So your question is your question about the wilderness or when Christ returns?
When Christ returns,
yeah.
When we go in the murmuring and the complaining that like say for instance, like I'm eating, I don't like this, but when the Most High come back, we're supposed to not murmur about what we're get our heads.
Well, it depends. Okay, so like for instance, if you talk about like if the Lord is feeding you, you're talking about like if the Lord is feeding you something like the same way that in the wilderness they complained about the manna. Yeah, no. If the Lord is feeding you something, don't complain about it. But like for instance, if I go to McDonald's and I get a burger and I don't like it, I can complain about it. Damn, this burger is terrible. They messed up my order. That's a complaint that's that's suitable. It's fine. But like for instance, when the Lord is feeding us in the wilderness that's to come, because remember the Lord is going to when Christ returns, he's going to take us up on those chariots and we're going to go into the wilderness and prepare, right? In that time, that'll be like kind of like the second wilderness, but we won't be wandering, right? We'll be preparing for something. We'll be preparing for the kingdom. And so when the Lord is feeding you, then don't say, if the Lord gives you a burger, don't say, this is a terrible burger. You should just love the burger. You get what I'm saying? Now, yeah. Yeah. The chopping the head off. Okay, so the Lord, let's just remember this. Like the scriptures don't say your head gonna get chopped off from murmuring in the wilderness, but you can be cut off for complaining. Like that's a thing that you can't. But remember that the Lord don't complain. Just remember that. Remember that from here on out, right? But just also remember that the Lord is long suffering and He's merciful. So you say, damn, this burger kind of overdone. It's a little burnt, and some nigga gonna come and chop your goddamn head off. That's not gonna happen.
He's a husband unto us.
Right, He's a husband unto us. To the men and women of Israel, He's a husband unto us. And the way that a husband is supposed to be is long suffering. If any of y'all got husbands, trust me, your husband is suffering y'all. So I'll just be honest with y'all. Your husband is suffering you. You get what I'm saying? But that's a beautiful thing. That's what a husband is supposed to do, and that's the way that the Most High is. The Most High suffered us. You get what I'm saying? But that's the point. But yeah, you just don't complain. But if you happen to complain, don't just expect somebody to come with one of these and just chop your goddamn head off. That's ridiculous. Yeah, just don't complain. Don't complain. Don't murmur. Just be thankful that you made it out there, because when you out there in the new wilderness, when Christ returns, just remember that there's millions of people in America and all across the globe getting murdered. I don't want to say murdered; they're getting killed righteously. Right. You know what I'm saying? There's so many other people actually getting their heads chopped off, and they don't get to eat a goddamn thing. The scriptures say when Christ returns and that third world war happens, your tongue is gonna melt out of your mouth. Not you, hopefully. You stay in the truth, right? But those that do not accept the truth, they're going to be stuck here, and their tongue is going to burn out of their mouth. Their eyes are going to melt into their sockets. Why? Because of nuclear warfare. You get what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen. So just remember when, maybe if your burger's a little overdone,
Who cares?
At least your eyes ain't melting in your goddamn sockets, you know. But that's the point. So yeah, definitely don't complain. You know, being a complainer. Just to touch on it just a little bit more. I don't want to take too much time, but you shouldn't complain about anything. You know, even just anything at all. You really shouldn't complain. Like bringing some, like if you have an issue with somebody, complaining is not the way to go about it. You just take it to that person. If you have an issue with somebody, you take it to them. But you don't want to complain and be like, "Oh, this house is never clean," and this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? If you know, it's you just want to have a balance. You know what I'm saying? I hope I'm making sense. All right. Let's get back to it though. Let me see. Where we at? Oh yeah, give me verse 2. Deuteronomy 8:2.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 2. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no.
So that's what the Most High was doing in the wilderness. That's what he did with Abraham. With Abraham, you can take me back now to Abraham. What Abraham had to go through, it was a necessity because the Most High had to prove him to see whether or not he would keep the commandment of the Lord. His specific commandment was kill your son. Are you going to do it or you're not going to do it? Now, that's why I say it's not like the Most High is not magical in the sense of, you know, he just knows. It's the same way that I would have to prove you. Are you gonna continue coming to class or are you going to end up, you know, go back doing whatever the hell you was doing before? You know what I'm saying? Same thing with anybody else. You know what I'm saying? I have to prove you. So are you going to do what's right? Or are you going to do what's wrong? You know what I'm saying? When a task is given to you, are you going to fulfill the task or are you going to back out and be like, this is too hard for me? You know what I'm saying? That's the same way that the Lord has to try you. And that's what he did with Abraham. It's a hard thing, but Abraham passed the test. Everybody gets this test one day. Everybody. Right. Sisters, brothers, everybody. Listen, there's a story in the Bible, in the book of Maccabees, where there's a mother that has 7 children. Okay. This mother and her 7 children get taken by the king. The king was a Grecian king at this time. He was a king and he had taken over the land of Israel, right? This is about what? 400 BC, 300 BC, some around that time, that the Greeks had taken over the land of Israel, right? And this king had taken this mother and her 7 sons into this room, and they were being forced to eat pork. The reason why is because the white man is the devil, right? But he knew that it was Israelite custom to not eat pork. We cannot eat pork. He had set some pork out in front of them. Yeah, go ahead. So he had sent some pork out in front of them and said, listen, if you don't eat this pork, one person at a time, if you don't eat this pork, you're going to die, right? And you're going to die a terrible death. So what ended up happening is okay. So the first brother came up, right? They brought the first brother up and said, listen, eat this pig or you're going to die, right? The brother said, I would rather die than to transgress the laws of my fathers. So what they did, the king and the Grecians, they made an example out of him. They cut his limbs off one by one. I'm talking about each finger off, right? Then they cut, all the fingers off, all the toes off. Then they cut the hand off, right? Kept him alive through this whole thing. Cut all of that off, right? Now this is torture, and he's alive, right? At any time, he can say, damn, no, I gotta eat this. I gotta live. And your fight or flight instinct makes you want to just, okay, I just gotta eat. Otherwise, I'm gonna die. So I'm gonna eat this thing that he's telling me. But this brother didn't do that, right? Each part of his body got cut off one at a time. You know what I'm saying? The next brother saw it as an example. You know what I'm saying? So the next brother come up and they ask him, or they tell him, you got to eat this. You have to break the Most High God's law. He said, no, I'm not going to do it, right? Once again, I'd rather keep the law of my fathers. I'd rather die than to forsake the law of my fathers, right? So what he ended up doing, dying the same way, except this time they peeled his scalp off, right?
Yeah, they peeled his scalp off.
Right.
And the third brother did. He like, look, don't even ask me.
Right, just kill me. Yep. Yeah. And they did it, and it wasn't like a bullet to the. Anybody could take a bullet to the head. I mean, that's just quick. Your brain shuts down and you die. But go ahead. That is in Second Maccabees, I believe the 11th chapter. Yeah, second. That's in the Apocrypha. I believe it's in the 11th chapter. Give me 1 second. Second Maccabees. You should all read this on your own time. 11th chapter. Okay, not the 11th chapter. Let me see. The 7th chapter. Okay, Second Maccabees, the 7th chapter. Read it on your own time. It's ridiculous. But my point in saying all of this is, right, so, okay, so just to recap the whole thing, or to sum it up, all 7 of the brothers was like, damn that, I'm not forsaking the law of my fathers. I'm going to die. Even the youngest one. It doesn't say his age, but he was a young brother. I would assume, I can only hypothesize, he's like, young. Y'all know a young boy. But he saw all of his brothers die before him, and he died. The mother watched all of it. And she was told, okay, now, are you going to eat? And she said, man, y'all got to kill me.
It's like, that would use, like, talk to your child.
Mm-hmm.
Let him know, like, before, he does this, talk to him, right? And as he was telling her, the mother, that the king was telling the child, like, look, you're gonna be my best friend, and not only that, but you're gonna have power and rulership. And
tempting the hell out of him.
Man, like, the kid, basically, I forgot what the kid said. He said something, so heavy, but like I said, like Brother was saying, that's a heavy story, to read. That's one of the stories that really like drilled something into like stop eating pork. Like, that's like one of the, that's like something where it's like, that like I said, like brothers and families have died over just eating pork, which is crazy, but it's what has to be done for, to serve the Most High. Like you were saying, Abraham was tested, and we all will get that test as well.
Yeah, you'll get that test in one form or another. Like, listen, it's a terrible thing. Now, for you sisters, I'll give you one for just for the sake of this story, right? I don't know if y'all got kids or not, but listen, 2 Maccabees 7:20 says, but the mother, after seeing all of her kids die, right? But the mother was marvelous above all and worthy of honorable memory, right? That's why we're talking about her thousands of years. It's been, 2,400 years since this happened. And we're talking about her today, this woman, right? She was worthy of honorable memory. For when she saw her 7 sons slain within the space of one day, all of her children cut up in front of her, dismembered, mangled in front of her, she bare it with good courage because of the hope that she had in the Lord. Man, listen, that's I can't even read this stuff. Like, listen, y'all, I do that class probably once a year. I think everybody kind of touches on it probably like once a year, but specifically on the Hanukkah, we touch on that story. Listen, I can hardly get through it. I'm gonna be honest. And I'm supposed to be a big, strong man. You know what I'm saying? It's a hard thing to get through because that's the type of faith that you have to have in the Most High. The hope that you have to have in the Most High. Like, even one of the brothers said, because he understood the Most High and had faith in the Most High so much, he said, you can kill me, that's fine. I'm just going to be regenerated into a new body. These hands, you could take these hands. You cutting my hands off and this, that, and the third. You could take these hands. When the Lord rebirths me into a new body, I'll have new hands. You have to really believe that, though. You got to really believe that. That it seems like fairy tales, but you have to really have that hope and that faith in the Most High. Right?
He said, these were given from the Lord, and for the Lord I will give them back.
Right.
Damn right. Listen, now it's easy for me to sit behind this podium. I'm using me for an example, just so it's not biased. It's easy for me to sit behind this podium and say, yeah, if that happened to me, I'd do it. Shit, wait till we'll see if it happens. And that's why the Lord has to test you that way. Because I can say that, and I can really feel like it too. I can feel it in my heart and say, yeah, hell yeah. I would die, take any member off of my body if you want to. Cut me up. But, and once again, I can feel it. I can feel it in my chest. But until I go through it, nobody knows what's going to happen. So not even the Lord. Go ahead.
That's a good story for brotherhood and sisterhood. Because imagine one of the brothers was to like, man, you didn't tell me your brother died in vain, so you're not going to go through it. All the brothers went through it, and the mother, which was more honorable, right? Which was the sister. Imagine being the last one to hear all your children, hear the cries and everything. I mean, you gave birth to them, and then, the woman's supposed to be more, nurturing, trying to, soothe the child. At this time, it was, for the Lord.
Yeah, and if I could too, the scripture says she exhorted every one of them in her own language. Like when it was time for them to die, they looked at and this is like I said, if you're a mother, I can only imagine. They looked back at her for for assurance. You get what I'm saying? And so when they looked back at her, she said, "You do this thing.
Wow.
You don't get to eat that pork. You get what I'm saying? You do this thing." That's a hard thing because now a mother could, easily just be, overtaken with her so-called motherly instinct and be like, "Listen, baby, just eat it. You got to live, baby." But nah, this woman didn't do that. This woman, and then after all of that, after coaching her children through dying, then she died herself. You know what I'm saying? That's why we talking about it 2,400 years later. Now, that's the type of faith that you got to have. Abraham had that faith. David had that faith. You get what I'm saying? These people had that faith. Just for time's sake, what you got?
So, sir, I just want to build on what you're saying.
Just quickly, because we gotta run.
So the scriptures say a woman that feared, just to paraphrase, a woman that feared the Lord shall be praised.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this sister has 7 sons. Not one did she abort, and she raised them up, even the youngest, to be so courageous, even in death, and knowing that one after another in the space of a day was going to be executed, and she having to encourage them to be courageous in getting executed. She didn't abort one, and she got killed herself. She feared the Most High God, and encouraged her sons to keep the commandments and not eat that pork. All of her sons and herself is written in this book because a woman that fears the Most High God shall be praised.
No, damn right. And that's a beautiful thing. You get what I'm saying? And so we can see stories like that all throughout. You read the book of Maccabees, man. You should definitely read it. If you haven't read it already, the first and second Maccabees, read it. That's history. And it actually happened. Right. You can find it outside of the Apocrypha, but in the Apocrypha, you can see where they were killing women and their children if that woman got her son circumcised on the 8th day like she's supposed to. They were killing these women. Now, where were the men at? They were getting killed. Just left and right. They were trying to exterminate us the same way that they tried to exterminate us in the book of Exodus. You know what I'm saying? In Egypt. They said kill all of the men and leave all of the women alive because that's how you get rid of a race, because the seed is in the father, the man. You get what I'm saying? That's just it's a terrible thing. You get what I'm saying? But you should read it because it should help you out. Now, if they was willing to go through that, just not to eat food, just not to eat food, like you got to think about it. They didn't eat food and to die. You know what I'm saying? Why though? Because that specific food, the Lord told them not to eat. Now, imagine somebody today hearing about the dietary law. We tell them that you cannot eat pork, shrimp, crab, lobster, catfish, all of those specific things. And then you hear this story. You hear a story about where these brothers died and their mother died for not eating pork. And then you go and eat pork. I mean, God damn, that's a selfish thing, man. You get what I'm saying? You gotta get that thing up, man, because these brothers died for it. Now, if they died for it, they died in vain. If you sit up here and you still hear this story and you still go home and cook a pork chop,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just that simple.
Also, too, Christ, he died too.
Christ died too. That's an excellent example.
I mean, if you go, forsake the law, then Christ died to bring death.
Mm-hmm. Right. He died for who? For Israel. Right. He died for Israel so we could get right, not so we could keep sinning. You get what I'm saying? The scripture say in Romans the 6th chapter, shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. You know what I'm saying? Just because Christ gave us grace, right? A grace period to get right doesn't mean that we just can willingly sin. You know what I'm saying? We got to get right, man. And once again, that story, everybody read that thing, man. Second Maccabees, the 7th chapter. And tell me if you still want to eat pork. Tell me if you still want to, and I just want everybody to understand pork. We talk about pork because that's like the biggest thing in the black community is pork. But the shrimp, the crab, the lobster, the catfish. If it's a fish the fish has to have fins and scales. So catfish doesn't have scales. Out. Can't have it. Tuna. A lot of people don't know this. Tuna does not have scales. Don't eat no goddamn tuna. The white man says that tuna has what's called micro scales. Moses didn't see no goddamn scales on that tuna. You got to have a microscope to see the little scales. They're not even scales. They're not real.
Well,
Good.
what about tilapia?
Tilapia is fine. Tilapia, salmon. Yeah, all of that's fine. Tilapia, salmon. I'll tear some salmon up.
Okay,
You get what I'm
me
saying?
too.
You just want to make sure that any fish that you eat has both fins and scales. Like catfish, you can't eat because it has fins, but it does not have scales. You get what I'm saying? Same thing with like the land animals. Like for instance, like pork. They have the cloven hoof, but they don't chew the cud. You have to, in order to be able to eat an animal like cattle or anything like that, it has to both chew the cud and it has to have a cloven foot. You get what I'm saying? So like a camel. Camel has the cloven foot, doesn't chew the cud. You know what I'm saying? You'll just, the more that you just stay in the truth. How about that?
What is the
Chew the cud. Okay, like you ever seen like a cow just constantly chewing on something?
Oh.
So they have two stomachs, right? The cow specifically has two stomachs, but when they chew the cud, they're regurgitating like the grass that they ate. That's how
Four
Yeah.
stomachs in it.
they have four stomachs. You're right.
And then they kind of regurgitate what's partially digested.
Yeah. So they regurgitate like they eat the grass, and then one of their stomachs regurgitates it, and they just chew on it. You seen a cow just sit there chewing on something?
Meat at all?
No, meat is fine. Like the Lord, like read you can take this down in your notes. Leviticus the 11th chapter gives you the dietary law. Like duck is unlawful. Okay, duck you can't have. There's different protocols or different I'll just say protocols. There's different protocols for different animals. Like for instance, I said chewing the cud and the cloven footed and dividing at the hoof. That's for like land animals like your sheep, your cows, your lamb, stuff like that. For fish, it's you have to have fins and scales. For birds, I forget what it is for birds. It's all in that chapter, right?
We got to separate.
11th chapter.
Separate the seed from the grain.
Yeah, and they can't be like birds of prey. Yeah, so like it's all in that chapter. You'll come to find that you can definitely eat meat. It's just there's certain meat that you can't eat. And like if you look at it as spiritual, like pork is really nasty. Like pigs, they're literally bottom feeders. They eat everything. You throw a human hand at a pig, they're gonna eat it.
There's a serial killer in Canada that had all his victims
To pig.
Yep, and they'll eat it.
I remember that.
he sold those pigs to other people.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then you'll eat it though. Like listen, pigs used to be back in the day. Pigs were used to like as street cleaners because they would just go up and they just eat everything. I mean, they'd eat paper, they'd eat this Bible, they'd eat anything that they could put in their mouth. That's what pigs are. They're disgusting. Same thing with shrimp, crab, lobster. Those are all bottom feeders of the sea. Catfish are bottom feeders. They eat everything. They clean the sea. So this is why you shouldn't eat them. Not only because the Most High told you not to eat them, but also because those things are absolutely unhealthy to eat. They're unhealthy. You get what I'm saying? Because everything that they eat is to clean up the trash of the ocean, to clean up the trash of the earth. You get what I'm saying? So the Lord is smart when he made these laws. Like for instance, you can't eat horse. I know nobody really eats horse, but you can't eat it. Why? Because for one, it's unhealthy. But for two, if you eat all the goddamn horses, how you gonna get around?
Right.
At that time, it wasn't no cars. You get what I'm saying? Like the Lord preserved the horses so niggas could get up and get from one place, point A to point B. It's that simple. You can't eat all the goddamn horses. All right. Okay, where we at?
Verse 13, sir.
All right, let's get it.
The book of Genesis, chapter 22, verse 13. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him a ram caught in a thicket by his horns.
Mm-hmm. So now, remember when we just read, the Lord will provide a lamb for this offering because this son asked, where the hell is the offering at? Where's the sacrifice at? And so, when Abraham said the Lord will provide, he was talking about his son. Little did he know, the Lord really did provide something different, right? There was a ram that was caught in the thicket. Go ahead.
And Abraham went and took the ram and offered him up for a burnt offering in the stead of his son.
In the what?
In the stead of his
In
son.
the place of his son. There had to be somebody that died that day, right? Like that's the way that the Most High works. In order for atonement for your sins, sacrifice for your sins, there must be death, always, every single time, right? When you go back into this Old Testament, you look at what brothers was doing to atone for their sins. They would take a ram, they would take a bullock, they would take a lamb, they would take an animal and sacrifice it, meaning kill it, had to die, and they would sacrifice it on the altar. Why? Because every time that you sin, there must be death. That's what sin is, death. Like you can read that in the New Testament.
So like if I could build on what you're saying, sir, I say all the time, like the Most High favors blood. For just as much as Malak Yahweh Shai had to, by the order of the Most High, give his life for his people, Yasher Allah, all of our sisters, like they have to go through something because of what their foremother did.
Yeah.
Eve sinned, and forever that woman has to go through something for it. The Most High favors blood, Salakia.
Yeah, no, and that's the way it is with everything. You know what I'm saying? Once again, so in the Old Testament, you had to, well, I say Old Testament, the Old Covenant, right? Because we're under the New Covenant now. The Old Covenant required you to sacrifice a bullock or whatever for your sin. In the New Covenant, Christ had to die for your sin. You get what I'm saying? But remember, he only died once. So Hebrews 10:26 tells you that there remaineth no more sacrifice for sin if you sin willfully. Like if you sin knowing that you done messed up, knowing I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Knowing that Christ died for you, there's no sacrifice for that. Because you can't go, there is no altar for you to go and take a bullock and say, okay, I know I sinned. Here's this bullock, I'm gonna cut him and burn him and set him on fire to offer to the Lord. You can't do that anymore. Christ is the one sacrifice. You get what I'm saying? And so, point being, the reason why I bring all of that up is because the Lord requires death. And like the brother said, blood, every single time that you sin, right? And so that's what he was requiring here. So there had to be somebody that died today. It just didn't have to be Isaac, right? Keep going.
Verse 14. And Abraham called the name of that place Jehovah Jireh.
So Jehovah Jireh is the place that he called it. In the Hebrew, that's Yahweh Yara'ah. Yahweh Yara'ah, that's what that is, right? That means the Lord will see to it. That's what it means. So that's what this place is called at the top of that mount. Keep going.
As it is said to this day, in the mount of the Lord it shall be seen.
And that's the point. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to finish this chapter, but I know I like to talk. So a nigga went over a little bit. So I know we got to close it out. But just everybody understand this. The title of today's class is, what are you willing to sacrifice for the Lord? So now we just saw that Abraham was willing to sacrifice his only son. Can you sacrifice pork? Can you sacrifice getting high? Can you sacrifice the thing that you want to do? Once again, we just went through the Day of Atonement. We sacrificed food and water for a day, for 24 hours. You get what I'm saying? We sacrificed that. But what more can you sacrifice? Sacrifice our flesh, right? Damn right. You know what I'm saying? Like that's in giving in to the lust of your flesh. You know what I'm saying? So many people get caught up in the lust of their flesh. It's so easy for your brain to tell you what to do. It's easy for your brain to tell you what to do. And it's easy to listen to it. Listen to your brain tell you, yeah, I want to do this. Okay, let's do it then. You know what I'm saying? So many people are, once again, I mean, it seems so hard because of the society that we've been born and raised in. We've been born and raised in America, that the most disgusting place. Like this place has less morals than Syria. The place that I was just talking about, where there's wild men running in with bombs in their chest. America has less morals than them because at least they know homosexuality is wrong. They kill you for being a homosexual. At least they know that. You get what I'm saying? At least they know, you shouldn't eat certain things. You get what I'm saying? Not saying they still terrible. I don't, damn them. The point being is, America has like the least amount of morals throughout everything. Even in Russia, it's another white country. Or white, that's a country, right?
Come on, sir.
That's another white country. You know what I'm saying? But they still have more morals. They don't let people get away with certain things. Rapists get away with rape here in America. They get away, Brock Turner, I think is his name. He got probation for raping some white woman. You get what I'm saying? He got probation for it. But then what? Some black man, you shouldn't be smoking weed either or selling weed either. But this black man that that they got caught with like an ounce of marijuana, got like 10 years in prison. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Rapists, generationally destroy, whole, generation of women, and you only get 5 years in prison.
Right.
Which is crazy. Which is what America, basically promotes.
Yeah.
On all that homosexuality, all the pedophilia, and all that, rape, all that disgustingness.
Yeah.
America doesn't have any morals. It was built on blood, so, woe unto America, woe to them that built the city in blood. And, America will be destroyed for everything that it's, it has built.
Right.
Yeah, that's why Revelation 18:4 tells you to come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her iniquity. And not only her iniquity, because the iniquity is the sin that they commit, right? But also that you not become partakers of their plagues, because America's going to be judged for the things that it's done. You get what I'm saying? For the people that it's hurt, for the people that it's hurt, especially, namely us. You get what I'm saying? America's going to be judged for that thing. And so we have to separate from that ideology. Like, once again, this place has been the place that has the least amount of morals. So growing up in this place is gonna make you feel like, I can be, I could be a woman even though I'm a man. I could be a man even though I'm a woman. They make it normal to be a transsexual.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? They make it normal to get high. They legalize. I bring this up all the time. They legalize marijuana, which is it's probably, I don't want to say it's one of the worst drugs. It's a drug nonetheless. But I remember being on that goddamn marijuana, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible because you don't know that you have a problem. You get what I'm saying? At least a crackhead know he got a problem. So crackhead know he got a problem. Somebody that's high on weed all the goddamn time. Like I said, I used to wake up in the morning and I used to be like, what the hell is this? Because I would wake up sober. And so I would wake up in the morning like, nigga, I have to put some weed in my body to feel normal. You should never have to put anything in your body to feel normal. Your body should just be normal because that's what it is. You get what I'm saying? But America has made that thing legal. America also made magic mushrooms legal. They made heroin legal. You can go to a methadone clinic. If you're a white man that's strung out on heroin, you can go to a methadone clinic. Yeah, the doctors will give it to you. They'll prescribe you all of this terrible medication. You get what I'm saying? To wean you off of heroin, which is, it's a terrible thing. You get what I'm saying? And so they get stuck. You say what? Yeah, that's exactly. Methadone is an opioid. You get what I'm saying? And they'll put you on that methadone to keep you high legally. But you still get high here. You get what I'm saying? That's this place. So now my point in bringing all that up is we were raised in this place that does those things, that keeps their people high, that keeps their people in homosexuality, legalizes homosexual marriage and all of those terrible things. You get what I'm saying? Legalizes murder. Black people get murdered all the goddamn time by white police officers. And do they go to jail? Hell no. And if they do, it's for 5 years, 2 years. You get what I'm saying? Point being is we grew up here. So it's so hard to hold on to our culture when we live literally in the culture of the white man, which is, murder, hate, you get what I'm saying? Sexual deviancy, all of these terrible things. So it's hard, you get what I'm saying? But we have to be able to overcome that. Like, you have to look at what Abraham went through. Abraham lived in a land of a lot of dumb idiots that wanted to serve other gods. You get what I'm saying? He lived in that land. It was just like America, where it was an established country, and it had a whole bunch of gods that they were serving. In America, we got a whole bunch of gods that America serves. You know what I'm saying? You got the God of Christianity, which is Caesar Borgia, that white boy that you look at as Jesus Christ. You get what I'm saying? I know so many black people that are in Buddhism. That's what it's called? Buddhism. Jesus Christ. Oh, God damn. Listen, man, it might as well be so like it. But point being, they in that Buddhism because the Buddhism tells you what? You can do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Like Buddhism, literally, you can go in there and be a serial killer as long as you got inner peace. You know what I'm saying? The dreadlocks, a lot of people don't know this. I think we talked about this last time or a couple of Sabbaths ago or whatever. The dreadlocks, a lot of our people wear them dreadlocks. Those dreadlocks are a East Indian culture. You get what I'm saying? It's an East Indian culture. And the reason why the East Indians wore that type of hairstyle is because it was to pay homage to the god Shiva. Because that god, it was a she, it was a transsexual that had, dreadlocks on. You know what I'm saying? We are in a melting pot of religion, and a melting pot of ideologies, and a melting pot of cultures, and we just want to be accepting to everything. You get what I'm saying? But that's not the way that the Most High God set us up to be. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Just quickly, go ahead.
Concert.
Mhm.
We're the only race of blacks, Hispanics, and natives are the only race of people who want to be accepting to everything. Arabs don't accept everything. Chinese don't accept everything.
Yeah.
Caucasians don't accept
They
us.
definitely
and
don't.
we
They don't accept
everything.
us. You damn right.
The East Indians don't accept everything. The Africans don't come over here and want to do business with us. We're
Yeah.
the only people who think it's cool to be all inclusive.
Mhm.
Everyone else is looking at us like they're stupid. We could take advantage of that.
And they do. You get what I'm saying? They do, because what happens with, once again, like I brought up earlier with the Arabs, they come into our neighborhoods and they bleed us dry of our resources and our money, and we give them all our money. And do they give it back? No. You get what I'm saying? But what do we do when we get rich? What? Oh my God! What the hell is the name of that rapper? Oh my God! He gave who's the one that gave? No, it might not. It might have been a basketball player. He got rich and he gave all his money to niggas in Africa. Not niggas, they, you know, they're not niggas, they're not like us. He gave all of his money to some water plant in Africa. Flint water still doesn't, Flint, Michigan does still not have clean water. But he gives all his money to Africa. But his own people that are suffering with him in America, you know, damn them. You know what I'm saying? And that just goes to show, you know what I'm saying, that once again, what American society does to black people in America. That's something.
I think you're talking about the ones, he's African, right?
I don't think this is an African cat.
He's,
He might
the
be.
one that sing,
He acting like one. So like,
he sing,
you talking about Akon?
yeah.
No, that's a different cat. Yeah, no, I'm talking about like he's a ball player or something. Akon, he's African, and yeah, he should give to his own. He should go over there with his people and love them and hug them and give them everything. But what I'm saying is that our people should give each other something. You get what I'm saying? We should be able to fill each other up with resources. Like, we don't open up black businesses to benefit black people, do we?
Right.
We open up black businesses to benefit that specific person that opens up the black business. You get what I'm saying? We don't want to recycle our money into the black neighborhood, because what do we do when we get money?
Give it to other nations.
Give it to other nations. What are you doing when you buy a goddamn Lamborghini?
Giving it to
You
another
giving
nation.
it
Giving
to
to
the
the
Italians.
Italians.
When you buy a Porsche, because you know it's such a beautiful luxury car. When you buy that goddamn Porsche, you're giving it to another nation. You paying for something that doesn't. Them Porsches and them Lamborghinis, I hate to break it to y'all, them cars are not worth nothing. They're not. You get what I'm saying? They're not worth it, especially not what you're paying for them. Them houses that y'all try to buy, like you want to buy these $1 billion, I don't say billion, I'm exaggerating, but these $1 million mansions, and you want to take that money and give it to some white man, some white architect, you get what I'm saying, that put that thing together, so that way you can, live in luxury while your people are starving. We live in here. I say this all the time. I'm gonna close out with this, right? We live in here, like I say this to really put a pin in black leadership, right? So Commander General Yohana, which is the leader of this organization, right? He gets enough tithes and offerings to live like a rich man. He could have that $1 million house. He could have that, that $200,000-$300,000 Bugatti. He could have all of those things. He gets enough tithes for that. But instead of him using those tithes to live like a rich man, and he could live like a rich man 10 times over, instead he lives like a poor man, because he's a river to his people. Because instead of buying that Lamborghini, he's putting money into Flint, Michigan, to all of the brothers in Flint, Michigan, to put food drives together. You get what I'm saying? In Haiti, when they was out there eating mud pies, Commander General Yohana put thousands of dollars into Haiti to make sure that them brothers and sisters don't eat mud pies. Instead of them eating them goddamn mud pie, which I don't know if y'all noticed, they was literally eating mud. They put the mud together and they put a little bit of sugar on it and molded it together, and they would eat it. They eating dirt. Commander Yohana decided, instead of having $1 million house, to give them some food. You get what I'm saying? Thousands of dollars worth of food. Jamaica, when they was going through what they was going, Puerto Rico, when they was going through that terrible upset that they had with that storm that they had. Commander Yohana put tens of thousands of dollars to make sure that them brothers and sisters was okay, and to rebuilding Puerto Rico for them brothers, so they have some housing, so they have some food. That's the type of leadership that we need. And that type of leadership is going to take you out of looking for leadership out there, because out there you're going to look at your Jesse Jacksons, you're going to look at your Barack Obamas, he's not even black anyway. He's an African. He's a different type. He's an African black. He's not even our people. He's a Hamite. You know what I'm saying? But you're going to look to him for leadership. You're going to look to him to, and what did he do? When black people look for leadership in Barack Obama, what happened? He gave all of his power into what? the gay community, the LGBTQ community. He didn't do nothing for black people. Now you would expect, you think he a nigga, so you would expect, especially because he's from Chicago and all of that he gonna help out black people, but he didn't do that at all. What did he do? He gave all of his money and all of his time and all of his attention to helping to helping LGBTQ community members get married. That's all it was. You know what I'm saying? And that's the point. You know what I'm saying? So we have to really stop looking at those types of things, right? Point being is, going back to the topic. I know we're running over. Going back to the topic is, Commanding General Yohana made those sacrifices because he could live rich, but he lives poor. You know what I'm saying?
Precept, sir.
Give it to me
real quick.
Go ahead.
This is the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 8 and verse 9. It's to build on what the priest is saying about our Lord Commanding General Yohana, and like the spirit of brotherhood that this man has. For ye know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, that ye through his poverty might be rich. Now, Salah, if I could, sir, this man just recently put all the captains on payroll.
Yeah.
And some of the captains are so modest and so humble that they gave up that pay to put their 5,000s on payroll.
Yeah,
this is what we are really trying to build. Salah.
Nah, damn right. And that's the point. You know what I'm saying? Living poor so that way your people can live rich.
Right.
It's called selflessness. Selflessness. That's what it's called. And that's what we have to have as a people. We have to have that character trait of being selfless. So many of our people are selfish, and it's understandable. It's so understandable why our people are selfish, because we feel like we have to step on people's toes to get up. Because the white man is way up there. We try to get to his level. You get what I'm saying? Because they've been putting their foot on our necks. You get what I'm saying? What you have to do instead is be selfless. You get what I'm saying? And put yourself last and put the Lord first and his people first. You get what I'm saying? And that's what Abraham did, man. And we got to always remember that. Next Sabbath, I might go ahead and finish off that story. But for time's sake, I know we're running over. We're going to go ahead and get this, get it on. Just a minute up here at margin, which means to stand. Right.
La Yasharallah.
Which means to Israel. Sorry. All right, we're gonna give these prayers. So I majim, which means to stand, everybody else. Wapayah, we're done, which means to turn and face the east, which is that way. Sisters' heads covered, brothers' heads uncovered. We're going to begin with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa. Shabbat Shemayah. Kodash. Hayah. Shamka. Yahweh. Malakutka. Taba'ah. Ratzazaka. Hayah. Aisha. Barataza. Kawa. Hayah. Bashamayah. Lathalanawa. Lakam. Call your one. Salaki. Wasalakanawa. Kawawatnawa. Kasalaknawa. Kawawatnawa. Wala'ah. Tabayanawa. Manasai one. Abal. Hawashinawa. Rayan. Salaki Mayan. Raikaya. Lakab. Hamalagwa. Waha'ala. Wathapara. La'awalamium. Aman. Right? In English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Salaki. Hallowed be thy name. Yahweh. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth. As it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever.
So be it.
All right, the Hakak, the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Baba Kushai.
Baba Kusha.
The thunder now.
The thunder now.
Hakak.
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 La Rapa'ah.
The Rapa'ah.
Call my Slaki. Call my Ka'ala.
Call Maka'ala.
We'll call my Dawah.
We'll call Madawa.
Hakak.
Hakak.
That's a hard.
That's a heart.
How much is a riot?
How much is a riot?
Hakak.
Hakak.
Lakwayam.
Lahakwayam.
Hamathium.
Hamathium.
Hakak.
Hakak.
Arakawa.
Arakawa.
Atama Allah.
Hatama Allah.
Lagarshan.
Lagarshan.
Ba'ashem
Ba'ashem
Yahushai.
Yahushai.
The water Aman.
So what am I?
In the English. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahushai.
In the name of Yahushai.
Please give us the power.
Please give us the power.
The power to heal all manner of sickness.
The power to heal all manner of sickness.
And all manner of disease.
And all manner of disease.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to raise the dead.
The power to raise the
The
dead.
power against unclean spirits.
The power against unclean spirits.
To cast them out.
To cast them
In
out.
the name of
In
Yahushai.
the name of Yahushai.
Thank you, so be it.
Say that, so be it.
Psalms the 121st chapter in the Hebrew. Asha'ah.
Asha'ah.
Ayanya.
Ayanya.
Ahaharya.
Ahaharya.
Ma'ayan.
Ma'ayan.
Yaba'ah.
Yaba'ah.
Isarya.
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 Ma'ayin.
Ma'ayin.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Shamayam.
Shamayam.
Wa'aratiza.
Waratiza.
Al Yathan.
Al Yathan.
Lamawat.
Lamawat.
Regalka.
Regalka.
Al Yanawam.
Al Yanawam.
Shamarka.
Shamarka.
Hana.
Hana.
La'ah.
La'ah.
Yanawam.
Yanawam.
Wala'ah.
Bala'ah.
Yayashan.
Yayashan.
Shawamar.
Shawamar.
Yasha'ala.
Yasha'ala.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Shamarka.
Shamarka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Tazalka.
Tazalka.
Al Yad.
Al Yad.
Yamyanka.
Yamyanka.
Yawamam.
Yawamam.
Hashamash.
Hashamash.
La'ah.
La'ah.
Yakaka.
Yakaka.
Wayarak.
Wayarak.
Balayala.
Wayayala.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yashamarka.
Yashamarka.
Makalrai.
Makalrai.
Yashamar.
Yashamar.
Ath.
Ath.
Nepashka.
Nepashka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yashamar.
Yashamar.
Taza'afka.
Taza'afka.
Wabawa'aka.
Wabawa'aka.
Ma'aitha.
Ma'aitha.
Wa'ai.
Wa'ai.
I will learn.
I will learn.
Psalms the 121st chapter in the English. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills.
I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills.
From whence cometh my help?
From whence cometh my help?
My help cometh from Yahweh.
My help cometh from Yahweh,
Which made heaven and earth.
which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee will not slumber.
He that keepeth thee will not slumber.
Behold,
Behold,
he that keepeth Yasha'ala
he that keepeth Yashar'Allah
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil.
Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
and thy coming in
and thy coming in
from this time forth
from this time forth
and even forevermore.
and even forevermore.
Psalms the 83rd chapter in Hebrew. Alahayo.
Allahayim.
Aldama Yalaka.
Adama Yalaka.
Al Thakarash.
All Thakarash.
Wa Al Thashakwa.
All Thashakwa.
All
All
Kayahana.
Kayahana.
Our Yabika.
Our Yabyaka.
Yahamaya 1.
Yahamaya 1.
Ra'ash.
Ra'ash.
Al Imaka.
Al Amuka.
Ya'ara Yamwa.
Ya'ara Yamwa.
Sawada.
Sawada.
Wayatha.
Wayatha.
Ya'aitazawa.
Ya'aitazawa.
Al Tazapa Wanyaka.
Al Tazapa Winyaka.
Amarwa.
Amarwa.
Lakawa.
Lakawa.
Wanakakidam.
Wanakakidam.
Magawya.
Magalia.
Wala'a.
Wala'a.
Yazakar.
Yazakar.
Sham Yasha'ala.
Sham Yasha'Allah.
Iwada.
Iwada.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Nawa'aitazawa.
Nawaitazawa.
Laba.
Laba.
Yakadwa.
Yakadwa.
Alyaka.
Alyaka.
Barya.
Barya.
Yakar.
Yakar.
Slakin. Yakar.
Yakar.
Athwa.
Athwa.
Ahalya.
Ahalya.
Adawam.
Adawam.
Wayashamai Aliyam.
Wayasama Aliyam.
Mawa'aba.
Mawa'aba.
Wahagarya.
Wahagaria.
Gabal.
Gabal.
Wa'ima 1.
I'm a one.
Wa'ima Lot.
I'm a lot.
Palashah.
Kalasha.
I'm Yeshabya.
I'm Yeshabya.
Tazawar.
Tazawar.
Gam Ashawar.
Gam Ashawar.
Nalawa.
Nalawa.
Imam.
Haimam.
Hayawa.
Hayama.
Zarwa.
Zarwai.
Labanya Lawat.
Labanya Lawat.
Salah.
Salah.
Ashalaham.
Asalaham.
Kamadyan.
Hamaya.
Kasaya.
Kasaya.
Sara'ah.
Sara'ah.
Kayabyan.
Kayabyan.
Banakal.
Manakal.
Kwayashwan.
Kwayaswan.
Nashamadwa.
Nasamadwa.
Ba'ayan.
Bayan.
Da'ara.
Dara.
Hayawa.
Hayawa.
Daman.
Daman.
La'adama.
La'adama.
Shayathamwa.
Shayatamwa.
Nada.
Nada.
Yabmawa.
Yabmawa.
Ka'ira.
Ka'ira.
Wakaza'aba.
Wakazaaba.
Wakazabak.
Wakazabak.
Wakatazal.
Wakatazal.
Mana'ai.
Mana'ai.
Call.
Call.
Nasaya.
Nasaya.
Kamwa.
Kamwa.
Ashar.
Ashar.
Amarwa.
Amarwa.
Narashah.
Nayarashah.
Lanawa.
Lanawa.
Ath.
Ath.
Na'awat.
Nawat.
Alahayo.
Alahaya.
Alahayo.
Alahaya.
Shayathamwa.
Shayathamwa.
Kagalgala.
Kagalgala.
Kakwash.
Kakwash.
Lapanya Raka.
Lapanya Raka.
Ka'ash.
Ka'ash.
Thaba'ira.
Daba'ira.
Ya'ira.
Ya'ira.
Wakala Haba.
Wakala Haba.
Thalahat.
Balahat.
Haryam.
Haryam.
Khan.
Kan.
Tharadapma.
Daradapma.
Basa'iraka.
Basa'iraka.
Wabasa.
Wabasa.
Wapathka.
Wapaska.
Tabaham.
Tabaham.
Tabahalam.
Tabahalam. Shalom.
Mala'a.
Mala'a.
Panyahum.
Panyaham.
Kwalawan.
Kwalawan.
Waya.
Waya.
Bakwashwa.
Bakwashwa.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yabashwa.
Yabaswa.
Waya.
Waya.
Bahol.
Bahol.
Ayai.
Ayai.
Waya.
Waya.
Kaparwa.
Kaparwa.
Waya.
Waya.
Abadwa.
Abadwa.
Waya.
Waya.
Ya'aiwa.
Ya'aiwa.
Kaya Atha.
Kaya Abda.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Al Yawan.
Al Yawan.
Al Kal.
Al Kal.
Ha'arat.
Ha'aratiza.
Psalms the 83rd chapter in the English. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still.
And be not still.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
For lo,
lo,
thine enemies make a tumult.
Thine enemies make a tumult.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
And they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
And consulted against thy hidden
and
ones.
consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have said,
Come,
and let us cut them off from being a nation.
and let us cut them off from being a nation.
That the name of Yasha'Allah
That the name of Yasha'Allah
may be no more remembered.
may be no more remembrance.
For they have consulted together with one
For
consent.
they have consulted together with one consent.
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against thee.
The tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites.
Of Moab.
And
And the
the
Hagarenes.
Hagarenes.
Gabal.
Gabal.
And Ammon.
And Ammon.
And Amalek.
And Amalek.
The Philistines.
The Philistines.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
Assur also is joined with them.
Assur also is joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah.
Salah.
Do unto them as unto the Midianites.
Do unto them as unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera.
As to Sisera.
As to Jabin.
As to Jabin.
At the brook of Kasan.
At the brook of Kasan.
Which perished that endured.
Which perished that endured.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles like a red.
Make their nobles like a red.
And like Zael.
And like Zael.
Yea.
Yea.
All their princes as Zabah.
All their princes as Zabah.
And as Almunah.
And as Almunah.
Who said, let us take to ourselves.
Let us take to ourselves.
The houses of Yahweh in possession.
The houses of Yahweh in possession.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Make them like a wheel.
Make them like a wheel.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the stubble before the wind.
As the fire burneth the wood.
As the fire burneth the wood.
And as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
And as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
So persecute them with thy tempest.
So persecute them with thy tempest.
And make them afraid with thy storm.
And make them afraid with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame.
Fill their faces with shame.
That they may seek thy name.
That they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Let them be confounded and troubled forever.
Let them be confounded and troubled forever.
Yea.
Yea.
Let them be put to shame and perish.
Let them be put to shame and perish.
That men may know that thou.
That men may know that thou.
Whose name alone.
Whose name alone.
Is Yahweh.
Is Yahweh.
Art the most high over all the earth.
Art the most high over all the earth.
The blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Why Yahweh Shai.
Why Yahweh Shai.
Why Mayaka Allah.
Why Micah. Why Salaki.
Why Mayaka Allah.
Why Mayaka Allah.
Why Allah Hayya.
Why Allah Hayya.
Matazab Ya'ab.
Matazab Ya'ab.
Allah Wab Yahana.
Allah Wap Yahana.
Ha Allah Wap Yah.
Ha Allah Wap Yah.
Ha Sorenya.
Ha Saranya.
Ha Kwata Zayanya.
Ha Kwata Zayanya.
Ha Kaya Yoyo.
Hakaya Yoyo.
Waha Agwathia.
Waha Akwafia.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Hashem Yahweh Shai.
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
Wada Man.
So what Aman.
In the English. Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Michael.
And Michael.
And the angels.
And the angels.
Commanding General Yahana.
Commanding General Yahana.
The generals.
The generals.
The captains.
The captains.
The officers.
The officers.
The troopers. And the sisters.
And the sisters.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Thank you, so be it.
Thank you, so be it.
All right. Sorry while you're shopping. You can be seated. Any brothers want to get anointed with oil, you can step to the front. All right. You know the drill. I'm gonna say these prayers up here. I'll point to you. You'll say your name. I'll repeat it. We'll do that 3 times. All right.
Okay.
Ya Baraka Yahweh wa Yashamarka Ya Ar Yahweh Pan Yahweh Auyaka wa Yakunka Yasha Ar Yahweh Pan Yahweh Auyaka wa Yashamlaka Shalom Yahweh ba Shem Yahweh Shai Barak Rapah Magun Hagun
Kabadama.
Kabadama
Kabadama.
Kabadama
Kabadama.
Kabadama ba Shem Yahweh Shai Wadama. All right, clap it up for the brother. What we said in the English is number 6 in chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless, heal, shield, protect the bottom out. All right. Any sisters want to get their head anointed with oil, you can step up. Go ahead. I can either do on top of the headscarf or under.
It don't matter.
All right. Same thing I just did with the brother, I'm gonna do with y'all. All right. I'll say these prayers when I point to you. You'll say your name. I'll repeat it. We'll do that 3 times. All right. Yabaraka Yahweh wa Yashamarka Ya Ar Yahweh Pan Yahweh Al Yaka wa Yakanka Yasha Ar Yahweh Pan Yahweh Al Yaka wa Yashamlaka Shalom Yahweh Ba Shem Yahweh Shai Barak Ba Magun Hagun
Kiki.
Kiki Kiki Kiki
Kana.
Kana
Kana.
Kana
Kana.
Kana
Kawana.
Kawana
Kawana.
Kawana
Kawana.
Kawana Ba Shem Yahweh Shai Bawada Amon. Give these sisters a hand. Be seated. All right. So what I just said once again in the English was Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift his countenance, lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless, heal, shield, protect, Kiki, Kana, and Kawana. All right. Now what we're gonna do is just the men. We're gonna give a courtesy salute to salute out the Sabbath service. So men of Israel, Amajim, which means to stand. Amajim Shabbat. Amajim Barak.
Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Barak Thumb.
Sorry towards the sisters. Sisters, you can stand. Amajim. We're going to give the sisters a courtesy salute as well. Men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat. Amajim Barak. Yahweh Shamar Lathan Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh Shamar Il Atah Basham Yahweh Shai.
Sure. Y'all just repeat after me. Use close. Okay. Yahweh
Yahweh
Shamar
Shamar
Il Athan
Athan
Ba'Hashem
Basham
Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh Shai.
which means the Most High watch over you in the name of Yahweh Shai, which is Christ. All right. Yajim Matah, Sabbath services.